naysayers, the political pundit, who always does predict. They know the outcome before the election, so they start celebrating with some big public meeting. King Kong will speak it, and a little girl watching, who will finish the song for him. And if your boss was by the Chinese, you hear the donkey talking. And she say what mom said, then she say what daddy say, then she say what auntie say, and she say what uncle say. And if all what they say is true, doctor, how you get it do? Doctor, how you get it do? Doctor, how you get it do? Back to back, belly to belly, how you get it do? Doctor, how you get it do? Doctor, how you get it do? When you went to grab dental up in Tabernacle, he hiding behind two women, begging rescue. How you get it do? Doctor, how you get it do? He say bad since he's small, but you still make him ball. How you get it do? Doctor, how you get it do? Doctor, how you get it do?
Get alive, get alive!
Throughout the highland, who make their opinion, it was clear like crystal. They know what they're doing when they were voting. They're voting for something like a better living. When fake news coming with some stupid talking, the recycling message. And if your bad was by the Chinese, you hear the donkey talking. And you say what Sam said, then you say what Dwyer said, then she say what Terry said, then she say what Big Lie say. And if all what they say is true, doctor, how you get it do? Doctor, how you get it do? Doctor, how you get it do? Back to back, belly to belly, how you get it do? Doctor, how you get it do? Doctor, how you get it do? When you went to tell them they'll give the leadership to you, he started to make confusion, call you up to. How you get it do, doctor? How you get it do? He say bad since he's small, but you still make him ball. How you get it do, doctor? How you get it do, doctor? I am asking you.
Get alive, get alive!
Small puppy back in, here you show your skill, leadership maneuvering. Ducky and the phone say calling, last time in the Johnny had to spin with misinformation and the radio program. They both bring a balance to, and if your pass was by the Chinese, you hear the donkey talking. And she say what Grant said, say what Hodge said, say what he say, and she say what Cindy said. All what they say is true. Doctor, how you get it do? Doctor, how you get it do? Doctor, how you get it do? It's back to back, belly to belly. How you get it do? How you get it do? Doctor, how you get it do? When you went to tell them till it's time for him to go, he started to make mystery, spread rumor on you. How you get it do? Doctor, how you get it do?
the man Lord Cut there. Doctor, how you get it do? I'm DJ Morrishaw, and I'm coming to you live and direct from the Gaza here in the Boogie Down Bronx. The weather on the outside is very lovely, but the heart on the inside is painful at this time, very painful. Over the last couple of days, all I've been hearing is sad news, the passing of families and friends. Last Wednesday, the 9th of August, while here broadcasting, I realized my cousin there, Engel Francis, called me. And he's a man that be sleeping late at night, so I don't understand why he was calling me that time. And I said, I'll call him back when I sign off. But then he called me about 3 times. While I was live, I couldn't answer the phone because you know how it is. Once I'm live, I cannot take calls. But when I did call him back, he greeted me with the sad news of the passing of my cousin there, Brother Johnny Rocco Francis, out of St. Paul, St. Kitts, who currently resides in Atlanta. Yes, he passed away last week, Wednesday. His funeral is scheduled to be in Atlanta next Saturday, the 26th. I will give some updates on that sometime during the evening. But then, when I spoke to my cousin the next day to give update on Johnny, I found out that another good friend of mine in St. Paul's there, my partner Bobby, world champion, I understand, he took flight as well. So St. Paul's is really taking a beating over the last couple of weeks, the last couple of months. And then last night, a friend of mine from Barbados, Brother Mike, came to me and said to me, he got some news that one of a former worker that used to work with me at the hospital, who was an electrician as well, who passed away. It appears as though his son passed away. And when I did my investigation, yes, Phillips from Antigua, who passed away not too long ago, just 4 years back, his son, who is also an electrician, passed away apparently a couple of days ago. So we got some serious death in the family. But if that was not bad enough, you know, what hit me this morning when I log on to Facebook was the sad news of someone I regard as, he's a professor, a brother, a friend. The gentleman goes by the name of Rudolph Morton. Some call him Rudy Morton, some call him Pam Morton. I call him Rudy. This gentleman and I goes back from way in 1985. I met him here in New York while he was here with his family and everything, live over there into 22nd Street. And I've been looking at many of the tributes for Brother Rudy. And, you know, I don't think a lot of people really know Rudy, because some of the things that I see them put in there, Rudy was more than that, you know. I don't know if you all know Rudy was a serious baker, you know. Rudy used to actually bake bread and sell bread in New York. Rudy told me he used to bake back in St. Kitts as well. I used to go up to Rudy's house on a Saturday morning, his wife can tell you, and the kids can tell you, and I would be the first to get bread out of that oven. And you all know how we eat bread back in St. Kitts. Once you come out of the oven hatch, you put some butter in there. Once you slap the butter in, you're good to go. And Rudy going to be surely missed, you know. He was one of my backbone stand supporter during the time when I was locked down in quarantine, and during the start of this program, and during the Get Rid of Them campaign. We have had many, many, many conversations. And throughout the character assassination by some, Rudy always called me and say, Morrishaw boy, ignore them. Who's going to be fighting you or cussing you? They don't know you. They do not know that you're an ambassador for the Federation. They does not understand the work you put in for our people back home. So just ignore them. And every week when I log on around this time, I will see the little comments pop up in the thread. All he's going to say is Rudy Morton is on. You don't hear another thing out of him until later on, if there's something for him to reply to, but he listens to the program weekly. And every morning, there's a WhatsApp coming in, giving me some kind of blessing, some kind of greeting, something to be strong about. And for some reason, I know I got one yesterday, and this morning I did not get one. I didn't really pay much attention until I log on to Facebook. I understand who it is no more. So to you online viewers, this evening, I want you guys to let's show some respect to my boy Woody. And Woody would not be on live, but Woody will be on as usual. Woody will be on because knowing Woody, he will not leave me stranded, right? So, wanted to drop some fire in the place, drop some love for my boy Woody, promoting. And I want to just big up everyone who is online at the moment. Gonna hail up a few folks. I just want you to know at the bottom of the hour, I will be joined by the Honorable Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge out of Nevis there. I know my boy, Brother Daly, also is scheduled to join me. I do not know if he is still online with me this evening, but if he is, I look forward to the conversation with him as well. But the Honorable Janice Daniel Hodge, she did confirm that she'll be joining me at the bottom of the hour there at 6:30. So I look forward to that conversation with Sister Janice Daniel Hodge. As a matter of fact, Woody used to love a song, and I'm gonna drop this song right now. I'm gonna hit this song straight off the top for Woody because he's one of the strongest labor supporters that I have met. When I say strongest supporters, this man never waver. He never afraid to call a spade a spade. I sat in meetings with him here in New York, and I have been communicating with him over the years with all of the back and forth with the Labour Party and stuff, and he's very consistent. So I'm gonna drop this one, and this is one coming from the Mighty Pat, My Pledge, and I'm gonna drop this one for Woody and his family, yeah?
I'm asking all the brothers and sisters of the Labour Party to join with me and sing this song. Long ago, when it had just about 10 family who used to own the whole of this little country. If you were not a part of the plantocracy, you were lesser than a dog infested with flea. Then Papa Bacha came on the scene, crushed the slave driver, them regime when he joined the Labour Party. Equal rights for one and everybody. They Boko and them, I say they got so angry, will do anything to destroy the Labour Party. We could the Aaron boys at them to kick up a storm, and that's how the Black Party was formed. But I pledge allegiance to my country. Anywhere I go, with my life I will defend she. I also pledge allegiance, listen carefully. I will always be a part of the Labour Party. So don't tell me nothing but wrong. And the leaders I don't give a damn. Those are the one mash up this country. Now they blaming the Labour Party. Remember before 1980, no drug gun was in this country. But from the Palm Party took over, birds of a feather flock together. Say it already, gone say it again. How you could vote for people like them? Come and join with me and thank God for the Labour Party. Sing the chorus.
Brother, what about them?
Bam, 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 bam,
Please, my brother.
Labour. If anybody could remember the 10th of June, 1967, when a gang of thugs who born here in this country tried to overthrow the Labour Party. So they pick your mercenary soldiers who do anything for money. The mission, so they tell me, was to destroy everything in this little country. Poison the water, blow gas tank, destroy the army. A gang of bandits who seems to have the mercy. The police and power plant that was to destroy completely. It's an open secret, we all know who they be. I pledge allegiance to my country. Anywhere I go, with my life I will defend she. I also pledge allegiance, listen carefully. I will always be a part of the Labour Party. So don't tell me nothing but pan, and the leaders I don't give a damn. Those are the one mash up this country. Now they blaming the Labour Party. Remember before 1980, no drug, no gun was in this country. But from the PAM Party took over, birds of a feather flock together. Say it already, go say it again. How you could vote for people like them? Come and join with me and thank God for the Labour Party. Sing the chorus.
Yes, sir.
Labour.
What the Morton brothers? Rest in peace. The Morton family.
My fellow Kittitians, now honestly tell me if the Labour Party have done nothing for this country. People who used to live in dilapidated batchy, Labour build them concrete house for absolute free. Hotel building in Frigate Bay, tourists coming in every day, taxi drivers making money, new business stimulating the economy. Lots of farm people, some could not afford their house rent. Now they got big jobs working for the Labour government. Still they're walking around cussing the Labour Party. All on the internet, get rid of them real quickly. Sing the song. I pledge allegiance to my country. Anywhere I go, with my life I will defend she. I also pledge allegiance, listen carefully. I will always be a part of the Labour Party. So don't tell me nothing but man. And the leaders I don't give a damn. Those are the one mash up this country. Now they blaming the Labour Party. Remember before 1980, no drug, no gun was in this country. But from the PAM Party took over, birds of a feather flock together. Say it already, go say it again. How you could vote for people like them? Come and join with me and thank God for the Labour Party. Sing the chorus. I pledge allegiance to my country. Anywhere I go, with my life I will defend she. I also pledge allegiance, listen carefully. I will always be a part of the Labour Party. So don't tell me nothing but PAM and the leaders I don't give a damn. Those are the one mash up this country. Now they blaming the Labour Party. Remember before 1980, no drug, no gun was in this country. But from the PAM Party took over, birds of a feather flock together. Say it already, go say it again. How you could vote for people like them? Come and join with me and thank God for the Labour Party. Sing the chorus.
Yes, definitely that's the consensus of Brother Pam Morton, Brother Woody Morton. He gave me the history of the Labour Party and the damage that was done by those PAM people and all of those things. Remember, these guys been there in the business for years, so they understand the struggle, they understand what's going on. So I am well versed in a lot of the situation there because I had the opportunity to speak to those older folks. You know, people like to tell me, boy, Morrishaw, you're always hanging out with old people. Why are you always around these old people? Education, my friends, education. They give me a lot of things to go with. And on top of that, we have another stalwart here, going to drop us some information right about now. A man in the likes of J.A. Dwyer Astafan. We're going to drop his commentary and get straight into the business as we wait for the Honorable Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge. All right, I got a message there from Brother Daly, and he said he will sit out this evening and enjoy the conversation with Sister Janice Daniel Hodge, as we had previously booked for him to be here this evening, but once the Honorable Leader of the NRP became available, I accept her confirmation. And Brother Daly, thanks again for considering this evening, but we'll do you another evening. We will take your business. So stand by for the Honorable J. Dwyer Astafan, and when I get back, I'll hail up a few of you folks online. I already see the place is flooded with folks online, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to everyone, but I'll try my best to hail up as much of you as possible. Again, this evening, we want to pay tribute to the man Pam Morton, Woodolph Morton, Woody Morton, whatever you all know him as. Just drop some fire in the place, drop some love for the family, and you can leave your comments online. I have no problem reading the comments out this evening. If anyone wants to come live and do something live, it's no problem. Feel free to just message me. I'll accept you online and you can come and make your contribution on behalf of Brother Woody Woodolph Morton. All right? Stand by for Dwyer's commentary.
I give thanks to Dr. Crespo, her nurses, and other workers at the eye clinic at the General Hospital for their kind and professional attention to me 2 days ago when I had a cataract removed. This is the third eye procedure that I have done in my life, and all three were done here at the JNF. The first by Dr. Nunez, and the second and third by Dr. Crespo, two Cuban champion eye surgeons who have blessed us with their professional and personal presence here in the Federation. Of course, I give thanks to the Most High, by whose grace and love I breathe and live. This week I want to discuss a different but very important topic: the death penalty and crime. When someone is charged with the offense of murder, there is a time, I think other offenses too, there is a time within which he or she has to be brought to trial. Failing that, the court will throw out the case. Justice delayed is justice denied. There is also a limit on the time that a person convicted of murder and sentenced to death can be held on death row. If he or she is not executed within that time, then there can be no execution thereafter. The legal system in Britain and other countries, which curiously have perpetrated most of history's acts of personal and institutional mass cruelty, inhumanity, and savagery, and still do today in a more disguised way. These people have anointed themselves as the guardians and the bastions of humanitarianism and rectitude, and have guided the law, which includes our law, away from the death penalty as best they could. And only in what are considered to be exceptional circumstances will the law allow a convicted killer to be executed. So that is how things stand in our country. I don't know what the breakdown is, but some people here favor the way the law presently stands, while others see it differently. The others who see it differently want to see the death penalty actively enforced. Here are some thoughts for you to ponder on. The argument often made that the death penalty does not act as a deterrent to crime is not necessarily true. I say this because many years ago, when the death penalty was actively administered, there were less murders. Of course, times have changed, and the people back then may have had greater respect and care for life and for each other and for the law. And I don't think they were as brutish as we are today. But apart from deterring others, when someone is convicted of an extreme murder and he is executed, what the law does is deters him. After he is executed, he isn't going to kill anybody. The family and other loved ones of the victims, and with the people of the country who are hurt and often made fearful and anxious by the brutality of murder, won't now have to spend our money to feed him, to shelter him, and to safeguard him for the rest of his life after what he did to us, not just to the specific victim. And to me, this is an argument worth considering for the case of keeping the death penalty. Now, I'm not saying that the death penalty should be handed down in every case of murder, but I believe that it should be extended to other situations, along with the necessary changes in the law to ensure that a fair and expeditious justice is exacted in each case. Now, some bleeding hearts in Europe, who, as I've indicated, after hundreds of years of oppressing, robbing, and killing, not just bodies, but the minds of hundreds of millions, maybe billions of people from the South and from their own part of the world, the North. When these bleeding hearts come to you with their right to life story, remind them of the last 400 years and ask them to go and carry their story to the United States, USA, and to Singapore. We should not allow them to dictate to us. Now let's get down to some details. I believe that a person who commits robbery, who stops you on the road with a gun or a knife or another weapon, stops you in your car, comes to your home, invades your home, or goes into a business place armed with a weapon, as I said, to rob and maybe to hurt and do whatever damage he or she needs to do in his mind to get what he or she wants. I believe that such a person should, on conviction, receive the death penalty because the harm that he commits is far-reaching. Let us look, for example, at the scenario of a robbery at a business place. Shoppers are there. They are frightened to death. Cashiers and other workers are there. They too are frightened to death. People start to think twice before going back to that place. Workers might want to leave that place. With reduced business, the employer might lay off people. Workers and shoppers alike might need psychological and psychiatric attention. The mental and emotional scars could last a lifetime, and the consequences which they suffer are likely to spill over into the lives of their families and other loved ones. Then the business which is robbed loses X amount of money, which might set it back severely. Again, forcing it to lay off people. Less jobs, less money into the social security, less money for social security benefits, less money into customs and inland revenue, less money to pay public servants and pensions and to run the government, less money into the economy, more people on government welfare programs. All in all, bad news for the economy and the society because of the armed robbers, because of the robbers, true enemies of the state, true enemies of society, having declared war on society by deciding to be robbers and armed robbers. Meanwhile, the businesses are likely to now spend more money on security. And this adds to the operational cost of the business, which means that it will be carried to the consumer. So all of us will have to pay more money because of these robbers who prefer to get their pockets full of money that they didn't work for, and having the slightest consideration or care as to the hurt and damage that they are doing to the people individually and collectively and to the nation. And again, don't forget, once they go into that place or approach that person with a gun, that gun can be fired off and can kill. There's another downside to the robbery of a business. And here I'm not referring to any business in St. Kitts and not saying or suggesting anything in terms of wrongdoing on the part of any of them. I'm just being hypothetical. The other downside is that a business that is robbed can tell the inland revenue that it lost $100,000 when it only lost $25,000. And that would cheat the tax system, which means it cheats you. You come out the loser again. Here is the point. The damage done to individuals, to families, to communities, to societies, to economies, to nations by armed robberies is deep, long-lasting, and far-reaching. And it has to be stopped. This armed robbery, this show and use of guns has to be stopped. And the security agencies, the law, and the people of this country have to change our approach and put a stop to it. My vote is that the convicted armed robbers should face the death penalty in a changed legal system that is swift, decisive, and fair, and not dictated to by the ethos and practices of countries whose realities are so different from ours. And these robbers are not only cold-blooded killers or potential killers. They're also terrorists because they're terrorizing people. So the place to send them is where they belong. Hell, rather than feeding and housing them at our cost. After all they've done to us, feeding and housing them for 30, 40 years. And likewise, a fate, send them to hell, the traffickers in cocaine and heroin. And I'll add this, once in confrontation with our security forces, gunplay is involved, and our forces need to defend themselves, and or to defend other people, then the forces should shoot to kill. Let us see then what is or is not a deterrent after we do these things. Have you ever seen a bad man rob a place or shoot a man and stand up or walk to the police station and tell them what he just did? Or did instead he ran away? There's your answer. They run away to hide. They don't want to face the consequences. So the talk about deterrent is not a good argument. Under the present system, most of them feel they will get away. And many of them have gotten away. And that has emboldened them. If the security agencies have to defend themselves or other innocent people, then let the trial and the sentencing take place on the spot. That's not vigilantism. That's justice. We have to change the system. We have to change the approach. If necessary, suspend the jury system for these offenses. And let there be a trial by 2 judges who will judge the law and judge the facts. That would cut down problems associated with bribing and intimidating of jurors. And it could save time. Further, you citizens who have licensed firearms need to carry them and use them to protect yourselves if possible, if you happen to run into any of these robbers. And businesses need to have sharpshooters to do the same, to protect life and limb and property against these terrorists. As a police officer once told me, it's better for 12 persons to try you than for 6 persons to bear you. We need more cameras all over the streets that could pick up traffic offenders too and get some of them off the road, the things they're doing. More cameras around buildings, more drones, more police dogs, more guard dogs, trained dogs at business places and at homes, etc. We need to ratchet up the security at all levels and make it more aggressive. As I said, I've said it many times, these perpetrators are not acting like poor people who want and need help. They're acting with brutal, cold-blooded criminality, not caring a damn about who and how many of us they hurt. Let them go bother Satan. We also have to come up with appropriate punishment for the people who the courts are going to find guilty of robbing the people of this country from and through public office. I'm not recommending that there will be candidates for the hangman or the firing squad, but they need a long jail sentence during which they can find comfort in some 6'4" and 6'6" bullies in the prison. Until next time, be safe. Thank you.
Yeah, Brother Dyer, great commentary again, as usual, this evening. However, one thing I'm going to disagree with you on with this commentary. The same way that the criminals should be sentenced to whatever penalty and to be hanged when they commit the crime, those politicians that took an oath to do the right thing for the people and for the country and go in there squandering money and thieving the people money, they should be placed before the firing squad over there in Parliament Square. That's where they should put them, let people see. That will deter them. The politician them is just as bad as the gunman that's going to rob the stores, them are worse. A lot of things happening down there and it's not right. Someone sent me a message here this morning, you know. I do not know how the Prime Minister did not send me this message, because I have said to the Prime Minister time and time again, I ask him, please, Mr. Prime Minister, or your Cabinet Secretary, send me some information. I am here to relay the information to the general public. So I'm not even sure if this is authentic, but it looks so. So I'm going to read them. They said this is some comments coming from the Prime Minister. He asked in the Team Unity, the former Team Unity administration, the members, the people of the People's Action Movement, SPAM, the people of the Labour Party, PLP, led by the former Hag Timothy, the peoples of the Concerned Citizen Movements, CCM, led by Mark Brantley, explain to the country, explain to the people why there was no integrity in public life implementation in the past 7 years under their leadership. Here the question again. question for the former Team Unity administration, including the patch-up fella there that's running him out every Monday and Thursday evening and social media, chatting nonsense. The man in the likes of Ian Patches Library. This is DJ Morrishaw coming at you live and direct from the Gaza here in the Boogie Down Bronx. We need some question answers. So whether they are authentic questions or not, they look real to me, so I'm going to ask them. Why there was no integrity in public life implementation in 7 years? Are you campaign on that? Why there was no drilling of water in Keon in 7 years? Are you campaign on that? You all had 3 ministers of works on that. You had yourself, patch-up fellow, Brother Libud. You had the Deputy Prime Minister, Sean Richards. You had the other one over there in Keon who took your job. Why these things was not done? There was another question. Why no school or no hospital in 7 years? You have put up some big billboard saying new high school coming. I understand some 15 million or whatever disappear. And there was not even a break in the ground for foundation. So you all need to come and tell the people about these things. But I am asking the Prime Minister, if you all ain't come tell the people, he need to come and tell the people, He need to come and tell the people. While there was no airlift in all the struggles within the region and from the mainland, the US mainland and the UK, why was there no effort for the airlift? And in less than 12 months, the Labour Party under the stewardship of Miss Marsha Henderson, Honorable Marsha Henderson, was able to bring in a couple of airlines, JetBlue, Caribbean Airlines. I think it's some whatever airline. I can't remember the name offhand, so I don't want to spoil the name. Inter-Caribbean, I think it was. Why these things could have been done in 12 months and you guys was there for 7 years? But you all out there wrangling out your mouth like when they used to soda cane back in the days. Why the roads in St. Peter's was not addressed? These are just a couple of questions they're asking, But we have other questions to ask. Why is it all of you during COVID, during the lockdown? All of you hugging up each other in bed, doing all kind of bombastic thing, jumping jacks, playing stick fight and all them kind of stuff. The next question I want to ask you, I need answers to these things while they running out your mouth, But tonight I have to be very nice with my presentation because I have a very sophisticated leader, Honorable Lady, the Honorable Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge will be coming live shortly. So while I wait for Sister Honorable Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge to join me, let me help a few folks online here. And don't forget this evening, people, we have to show respect and love to my good friend and brother, the man Woody Morton, and his passing. Condolences to him, to his family and his friends and the entire nation, because Woody was just a special guy. And a lot of things people don't know about Woody, Many of them that you all see walking around with the big university certificate and online certificate, calling themselves doctor and all kind of thing, Some of them work in the mission down there, is Woody take the final exam for them, They could not pass the test on their own, And I got my receipts, them and I know who they be. Because Woody tell me who they be. When they carry on with the nonsense, not because I don't call name. Woody not here anymore, I could call name because all you can't do him nothing. Or you come after the DJ. But a lot of you out there, Woody take you all exams for you all, right? And you should be ashamed of yourself. Now he dropped dead, you're going to go talk all kind of nice things and great things and tribute with all your dirtiness. Some of you go carry all kind of false news to the man wife trying to mash up your life. But thank God, she's a sensible lady. You understand? She knows she husband and she support her husband. But you should be ashamed of yourself. Anyway, good evening to my brother there, the man Jeff Pemberton. How you doing? Where in the world are you, my brother? Sister Loretta, Clark Wheely, how you doing? Everything good? Hope all is well. Gigi Williams Keith, Delicious Nicholas Brown, how you doing? Debasso, good evening, how you doing? Jetty Taylor, Petrona Ballet, how you doing? I hope all is well with you as well. Dave Livingston, Laquisha Dwyer, that's your name. Brother Marvin Nigel leader, we're doing Doc. Everything good with you? You're still around? You're playing some cricket these days or what? Ingrid Daniel Farrell, we're doing Ariana Doe to make us lead. SKM platform. Patrick Brown, how are you doing? Good evening, my brother. Welcome to the ride. Chef Jeffers, Lewis, how are you doing? Alvan Brown, Elvan Ellie, how are you doing, my brother? Hope all is well with you there and the wife. I understand you relocate to another state. I don't want to give out your business, you know, so you let me know if it's okay to give out your business, but hope all is well with you and the wife. Brother Kelvin Wilkin, how are you doing? Brother Kelvin Daly, the man Tulu, the brother there, the man Carlisle Powell, hope all is well with you. I want to big up my boy there also. Brother Cabo, I understand you had a big birthday yesterday. Pardon me if you had given me advance notice on your birthday, I'll be down there in Fountain hanging with you, you know. But whatever leave over, you know, you're gonna save me things them for me, eh? Put them up, put them in the freezer. Rum can't spoil in the freezer. Rum don't freeze. Hot water don't spoil in the freezer. Bread nut, whatever you got, put them in the freezer. You're gonna see me sharp. They're not gonna spoil. So we're gonna celebrate the birthday in the not too distant future, all right? In Queely, good evening. How are you doing? Hope all is well. Hope all is well with you. Brother Eustace Hendrickson, good evening. Hope all is well with you. Ingrid Farrell, Veronica Roberts, Monica Brown, Livy Brown, good evening. Also want to big up Esther Edita Markman there in the UK. Hope all is well with you. Janine Grell, how are you doing? Jeanette Grell, how are you doing? Adele Tim McDonald, are you on the door? My mascot there, Sister Dorothy Allen, how are you doing? Hope all is well with you. We're going to get into the question and answers later, but for now, I just want the Honorable Sister Janice Daniel Hodge, when you log on, join with your audio and video. I'm seeing you online, but I'm not seeing your picture. So log out, log back in, and come in with your audio and video. Let me drop a song here in the meantime while I wait for Sister Janice Daniel Hodge to restart. We have a godfather there in the likes of Honorable Dr. Terence Jew. So let's drop a song here for our godfather, brother, the Honorable Dr. Terence Jew, coming from the man Lord Cut. I hope you all remember this one. Everybody they're crying out. Crying out for what? Only for so much that can do in a short space of time. Calling on the Godfather. Oh,
Yes, what I mean. like you cheat the deal, the way in which you treat them. Look, you house and rent, plenty apartment, and can't afford not 1 cent. Simply just like that, look, you done forgot. I say to do something about that. Hear the children, Godfather. Look, we want to know you stand for we, still you treat we so. Yes, me Godfather. In me big christening, you say I will give you anything, for I'm your Godfather. Yes, me Godfather. Oh, me Godfather. Could you do better?
Yeah, man. Everybody balling said they want something in their hand. I wonder what they think it is. Is that free for all? Things have to put together, you know.
Yeah.
It's a process. Oh yeah. Yeah, Sound of the Man Lord Cut, that one is called Godfather. They said they want Dr. J to walk around and pass out money like he's the Godfather. They don't want to work, they don't want to plan or anything. So I want to say good evening to Sister Gwyneth Morrishaw. How are you doing, Sister Beverly Morrishaw, my son there, Jeffroy Jr., my sister Esther G in Paris, my brother there. Good evening, Honorable Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge. Welcome once again to the DJ Morrishaw platform. You're looking lovely this evening.
Thank you. And as usual, it's always good to be here. I must say your show is full of unexpected situations. And so it's always good, it's always engaging. And so I'm happy to be here again.
All right, you're long overdue. You know, I actually try and be here once a month because the people, your people, ask that I reach out to you, the politician, tell you all, make the time to come and talk to them. So I'm just relaying the message. So I know the folks online, they already start lighting up and commenting. So I know they're happy to see you. Every week, there's always new people online. So though we know who you are, I think it's only appropriate that you give a quick synopsis of who you are before we get into the conversation.
Okay, sure. And I just want to say good night to all who have joined in. It's always an opportunity, a great opportunity to share the ideas that we may have here. My name is Janice Daniel Hodge. I was elected in the last local elections in the constituency of St. James. And so I am now a member of the Nevis Island Assembly. Looking forward to opportunities to contribute to the development, firstly of Nevis and then of course to the entire country. I would have been involved in politics since 2020, became elected as the leader of the Nevis Reformation Party in 2020. And I'm pleased to say that the support and encouragement that I have seen over the years, the last 2-3 years, really has been a force that has kept me going. It's not an easy situation when you're operating in a world where sometimes the untruths seem to be more prominent than the actual truth. And so you really have to stay focused. My background is in environment, natural resource management, and I think quite fitting the time that we are living in now, dealing with the climate change issues, looking at the external factors such as the war and how those are affecting our local economy. I think right now it's the right time for someone such as myself who has the compassion for the people, who care about the struggling people, understand what the global dynamics are, understand how those dynamics can be harnessed to the benefit of the people of Nevis. I really look forward to the opportunity to be in government so that we can really turn around the economy of Nevis. I would have said for a long time that we have been surviving on a government, on an economy that was put in place by the Nevis Reformation Party. We have not seen CCM add anything to the three basic pillars that we have, which is the financial services, which was brought in by the NRP, the tourism sector, and of course, the development of our people in terms of land ownership, education, agriculture, etc. And, as we look around the region and we see what is happening, we see how the Caribbean countries are trying to position themselves to benefit from the changes that we must deal with. And we recognize here in Nevis that we're not seeing any changes, and we're just seeing more of the same, raping of the treasury, wastage of the people's monies, and really Nevis is going backwards rather than going forwards. And so based on all that we would have seen, I really felt compelled to make a contribution the best way that I can. I could not sit back any longer and see how Nevis, based on the strides that we would have had, based on the position that we had in the region and internationally before, to see that we are almost at the bottom of the scale when it comes to development in small islands. One of the sad things is the fact that, our forefathers, they would have fought to make sure that Nevis has a sense of autonomy in terms of the Constitution, and the fact that we can create our own ordinances to direct the affairs, to ensure that the vision of the people of Nevis is aligned with our development policies. And unfortunately, CCM has not really taken advantage of what I think is a very great opportunity. It really has not been exploited. And so we really do feel that the people of Nevis, I keep saying to some of my colleagues, I do not have any dislike for the people of Nevis. I do feel that they voted for the NRP overwhelmingly in the last election. We can see, based on what has been happening recently, that CCM is really, they have played out their time. They have lied, they have misled people, and it's only a matter of time before people recognize and understand that, good talks does not really put money in their pockets. Good talks does not really provide an opportunity for you to have a good quality of life. And the NRP is definitely poised to be able to bring that to the people of Nevis. And so I look forward to the opportunity. Whenever the bell is rung, I heard some people saying, nobody's worrying anymore. So it is time, I think, that, the true interests of the people of Nevis be reflected in the outcome of the elections. Too many times we have seen the people want to go in one direction, and through different shenanigans, we end up with a government that the people of Nevis do not want. I think the people of Nevis are now in our silent way, in our easygoing way, because they do get a lot of concerns about, being more aggressive and being more outspoken, etc. But I think if anybody understands how we operate here on Nevis and when we act and what is required, I think the people of Nevis are really demonstrating that we've had enough of the lies, we've had enough of the wastage of monies, and it's time for a new government to give us a chance to turn Nevis around.
It's funny that you said that, Janice. I can recall not too long ago during the campaign of 2022, one of the words that my partner there, Baby Brantley, aka Premier Brantley, was telling people, nobody na he. But the amount of calls I got over the weekend and Sunday, I was on the cricket field. And the people of Nevis, they are paying attention. And I am sure they're paying attention, because they wanted to come to the phone to kill me. I asked them, what is the problem? They want to know what Dwyer doing over in the convention supporting Mark Brantley, supporting the CCM. And I didn't have any way of knowing whether it's true or not. So my response to them was, listen, whatever Dwyer is doing in Nevis, he has a right to be in Nevis. I'm happy that they find Nevis, because in the past, I've heard them say they don't know enough about Nevis politics and whatever. So if Dwyer finally reach across to Nevis, I'm happy. But only to get home in the evening and find out that Dwyer was not in Nevis. It was the usual.
Well, he may have been in Nevis, but he wasn't at the convention. I guess that's what you're
Well,
talking about.
I don't think I was in Nevis. The deceptive behavior of Baby Brantley, the deceptive behavior of Premier Brantley, the deceptive behavior of the CCM, because on a Troy, Labor, and all of them is part of that deceptive thing. They realize the problem they're in, and folks are paying attention and they're online. So what they did was play back some previous events that might have taken place with Dwyer and other people who have spoke in the past to give the impression that they have support from these people. Because when I got home, I searched their video from top to bottom, and I could not find Dwyer no place speaking. And when I did my investigation, I found out that basically that's what it was. Deception as usual. Don't forget don't forget back in 2022 during the election, the hospital wing was painted and they say it's ready to open in December. We are now in August of 2023 and the job is still on pause, right? So the deception continues. And again, Nevis might have, the division might have a way of dealing with stuff. But, you know, I just want you all to learn from the St. Kitts end of stuff. When things was happening in St. Kitts Nevis, when the concussion was together, the team unity concussion, because it's not an administration. As Sam told me, Sam kind of said it was transactional. And it's clear that it was transactional. It wasn't about the people. It was not about St. Kitts Nevis. They went and they gave themselves honorarium in secrecy, only because they fall out, we find out. Some people get 40+ million from the CBI, who's supposed to be in government, who should not have the right to it, while other people who is trying to do business could not get access. There's a lot of stuff. And for us to sit back and say they're gonna, the labor people, they were saying they're gonna drink water and mind their business till 2025. Let them self-destruct. I have said this time and time again, Janice. I lost friends. My good friend Sakwiti don't speak to me anymore because of politics. Because they were supporting a wrong because whatever benefit they were getting. My brother Astro tell me don't play his song anymore because of politics. And since I stopped playing his song, he can't even come in the top 3. I don't know if you realize that. And I feel for him. And I got to give him a call to, because this thing about retirement for Astro, that is a no-no. He still got something in him. But the point I am making is that the people sit back and was fear. They're afraid. Sam Kanda, who was the deputy prime minister at one point. And I'm talking these things for people to understand, not to bring down anybody. I'm speaking this way so that our people can understand that they have to take a stand. Sam Kanda felt the way that I felt about the team unity administration. Whether he was a part of putting it together or not, in the end, him and I was on the same page. Dwyer and I was on the same page. The Honorable Governor General Marcelo Laibada, all of us was on the same page. But for whatever reason, they had a fear. For whatever reason, they did not want to take the militant approach. Ira McMahon, Dr. Martin, they did not want to take the militant approach. Without that militant approach, there would not be a change of government in St. Kitts today. Talking on radio and talking on this program without getting on the street and get militant, government will not change. They're not going to pay attention. So I will just explain to you my position. And whatever you are doing, Nevis, you all have my support. Because NRP right now is best for Nevis. But I just want to, for the history of the people online, this is not for you. This is for the people online to understand that hadn't we take some militant approach by going down to the mission and bring awareness here in New York. If we didn't do that, people would not know what's going on down at the mission and what's going on in St. Kitts, that 3 of our citizens got arrested for carrying a placard, that several of our citizens got tear gas. People would not know that. People in St. Kitts, my families and friends in the police force could not speak to me because they're afraid to be victimized. Sam Kanda marched with me the day that I marched by myself in St. Kitts on my phone talking to social media, people will not know this. Sam Kanda and his wife marched with me, but how did they do that? They could not be seen marching on the street with me. They drive in the car, every street corner I pass, and the top of the road, Sam come out and he wave at me. The bottom of the road, down McKnight, Sam come out his car and he wave at me. For whatever reason, Sam could not march on the street with me. But today they got a lot of chat, you know. They are the superstars them today, you know. Many of them stand up on the sidewalk, they see me coming and they wave. They couldn't walk the street with me, I walk by myself. History was made in St. Kitts in 2022 when I walked by myself to bring some justice to the people of St. Kitts. And I think some of them are taking it for granted. And I'm saying the people of St. Kitts who knows the struggle in St. Kitts, who understand that we all are one, and the same stick that licked the tame goat, you're gonna lick the other ones too, you know. The time gonna come. They need to come across to Nevis and help. Help your brother and sister in Nevis. Because we all know that baby Brantley is not doing a good job. And before I give you a chance to start off, I want you to know that there are adults in Nevis that knows better. But for whatever reason in their heart, they know what CCM and what Brantley is doing to Nevis is wrong. But for whatever reason, they're saying different, they're acting different. Take a listen to this clip. And you tell me for yourself.
This CCM party in government has done so much with so little. And that is why we in St. George's Gingerland will always, and I say always, stick with the MRP.
Okay. That is someone speaking from a piece of paper that was put in front of them. They read from the paper, but the heart came through their tongue. So I understand. Your mic is closed. I'm trying to stop your screen, open your mic, please. Your mic is closed.
Okay, not sure how that happened, but anyway.
Okay, you heard the clip?
Yes, I did.
All right, so this is my message. I'm just trying to bring the message of the people talking to me. The people are speaking, right? And whatever is going on, the people are suffering. The people understand the position that you're in. Let us know what we need to do. We are here to support you. The floor is yours.
Sure, well, thanks. And you know, I listened to the clip of the lady, and I don't know if she was reading from one of NRP's paper, because this is something that we have been saying for a very long time, that NRP, when we were in government, did so much with so little compared to the CCM government, who received so much and has done so little. So it's a bit of a mix with the words right there. But I think the challenge that we have, and I do appreciate the effort that you would provide with regards to bringing a lot of this information to the people's attention. I think the underlying issue is that when we have leaders who do not have the best interests of the country at heart, we end up in the situation that we were in. Because had Premier Brantley recognized the power of the Charlestown Accord, I mean, I can hear him today say that he doesn't have an agreement with the Labour government, but he had one with the Team Unity government, and he pretty much, just wasted the opportunity. And so if his intention really was to get Nevis's fair share, if his intention really was to look out for the people of Nevis, I don't think that the government would have fallen apart. I don't think that he would have bring down that government, because he knew that he had the agreement, and he knew that based on the provisions in that agreement, he could have taken the government to court and allowed the courts to but his interest was really not about getting what was in the best interest of the people of Nevis. It was about how he can position himself to gain more power. And it's interesting, I listened to him talking about, I am here because I want power. And the good thing is that so many people who know me and understand what I'm about, it's as if they're saying, Janice is in England right now when you see me right here in front of your face. And so they go to these extremes that it is so obvious to the people now that what they have been doing all along is be providing misinformation and trying to sugarcoat, trying to get people to believe. But because of people like you who can bring the information, share the information weekly. I mean, once upon a time, NIP was not this vocal, whether it's on social media, on the radio, etc. But people are now getting an opportunity to hear the different side of the story. Because I listened to the gentleman who's supposed to be the advisor of investments and the airport. And I listened to him speak about how he did what was necessary so that the people of Nevis can own Herbert's Beach. And I also heard him say that Herbert's Beach has been going on for over 20 years. So it just was a bit interesting to me that if Herbert's Beach has been going on for such a long period of time, why only now, after they frustrated the developer, did they find it necessary to move forward? The developer could not have taken them to court if they did not sign an agreement with the developer. And so now to make it seem that, well, we did not want any development, we always felt that this was in the best interest of the people of Nevis. It's just saying what he thinks the people want to hear, but they know that they actually had an agreement in place with the developer. Because if they did not have that agreement, the developer could not take them to court and have a $79 million judgment against them. But he knew the benefits that he was getting. Because when you look at Herbert's Beach affair, for a long time, the masses in Nevis felt that Herbert's Beach affair was part of the official cultural activities. Because when you hear about Herbert's Beach affair, and I was there, this cultural, when you see the way that the government resources are mobilized to put on this event, which based on what he's saying now appears to be a personal event. And so how can you mobilize the government's resources like that? I mean, if I want to have a function, can I go to housing and land and ask for, all to put all of the necessary infrastructure in place? Can I go and get the Department of Public Works or whoever to come and clear the land and that sort of stuff? And so this is the way that this government operates. They take advantage of what should be the people's resources for their own personal gain. And so all of this conversation about Herbert's Beach affair and people trying to fight it down, I don't think people are trying to fight down Herbert's Beach affair. But if you're going to be doing something, you must be transparent about what you're doing. If it's a private function, then as the people say, man up and put on a function and let everybody know, this is my function, this is what I want to do. But you cannot be standing behind the cultural committee and giving direction. Oh, I need this, I need that, I need that, I need that. Yeah, the people must pay for. And then, I mean, I'm sure you would have heard, we're doing this for the people of St. James's. And the one local band that you have in St. James's could not get a gig in their backyard. Now, is this really for the people? Or is this for self-advancement? And so you go down there and you see all the land clearing that was done, but they have not owned the land up to now, DJ. The land is not in the hands of the NIA.
Hold a minute there, Janice. This is in the Premier's own words.
Let me say special commendations to the Honorable Alexis Jeffers and his team for a first-class event at Herbert's Beach again this year. A lot of hard work goes into that event, and I know that he and his team would have put in a tremendous level of work to get that venue up and running and to get it settled. And in fact, I think that most people should know that that event was being threatened. It was being threatened because there were some forces at work trying to buy that land from under the people of Nevis. And again, it was Alexis Jeffers who stepped in and said, no, the government should acquire that land for the benefit of generations yet unborn. And so when you see that Herbert's Beach affair happening, it is now happening on lands owned by the government. Yes, we are struggling to find the money to pay for it, but We will pay for it because this is a government that is responsible. But what is important, ladies and gentlemen, is that it required that foresight, that vision, and that love of people. Note what I said. He insisted it be acquired for the benefit of the people of St. James and the people of Nevis and generations to come.
Well, I know normally when we're having a conversation, Janice, you just be at a loss of how I just find these clips and these songs during the conversation. I'm from St. Paul, St. Kitts. We have it like that. We're talented, eh? So that is as simple as that. Baby Brantley, Baby Brantley is such a line.
We really did not have any discussion about what we will be talking about tonight. So for you to pull up that clip, I just find it, very interesting.
I could see it in your face. I can't see you at a loss. So let me just tell you, yes, I have the natural, not the natural talent. Once we're having a conversation, I know what to pull. So don't worry about it. Just keep saying what you're saying. I'm gonna work with you.
Okay.
Right. So the situation is this: Baby Brantley is telling us, Premier Brantley is telling us that the Nevis Island decided, Assembly, apparently the CCM cabinet, decided on their own in cabinet to take away these private lands from this individual because it's for the betterment for the people of Nevis. We are now finding out the reason why they need that area is for their personal use for their annual fundraiser for CCM at Herbert's Beach. Now, and they're saying they don't have the money to pay for it, but they will pay for it. Timothy Harris said they gave in excess of from 400, 500 million not too long ago. So where all of these monies went?
Well, and that is the interesting question because I can recall when the company, the developer who had an interest in developing Herbert's Beach, I remember there was a lot of back and forth because same Alexis Jeffers was arguing that he needed an acre of land to have the annual Herbert's Beach affair. Now, as far as I know, all of that was taken into consideration because it is not unheard of for you to have a hotel development where you can employ people, have people have a solid payday, and you can still have an annual event. We see it all the time at Marriott's Hotel. We see the Christmas Eve down by Four Seasons. These things are not heard of. You go to Jamaica with the reggae, Sun Splash, and all of these things. So tell me why an opportunity to coexist. You have the acre of land that you want to have the annual event, which I'm sure the hotel will be happy to bring in their guests and, have a very good, relationship with the, understand how to negotiate in the best interest of other people. That is a problem that CCM has. Excuse me. They can negotiate very well on their own behalf. Now tell me if there was a development online where you could have had the place maintained, where people can go and enjoy, dinner, different things. Most importantly, the employment opportunities. You can't tell hand, you're scrabbling, you're trying to find hotel developments for neighbors. And on the other hand, you're a developer, we don't want you because we want you. It's two different sets of monies because there's the money to purchase the land. Because as they said, when they realized that Anbas wanted to buy the land, Anbas of blessed memory, who developed Tower Hill, and where a number of people are working, when they recognized that she had an interest in buying the land, they jumped in, not because they had any real vision of how they would develop the land, but they just felt that they didn't want it to go to the lady. But here again, this is a woman who everybody understands to be very wealthy. So as a government who has to sign off on these land exchanges, land sales, etc., you could not sit down and negotiate. But how can you sit down and negotiate when just a couple months prior, There was an issue where the judge said, what did he say? The unimaginable, where you had the law firm of Daniel Brantley, the real estate company of his wife, both representing the same clients, which involved the same lady. The same lady's name was called with regards to the Pinneys Park development, where it was said that she was supposed to pay for the development of the park, but then they fell out. So it just seems to me that if you're negotiating in the best interest of the people, not for yourself, CCM is not good at that. And so the situation where we have now, where the cost of the land, because of course they have the powers by eminent domain to acquire the land in the best interest of the people. Now, I'm not seeing where the people have been benefiting, because anywhere you go, the people can gather at a public beach and have a function, right? So in this situation, where they have now acquired the land, well, you acquire the land, but the law does say that you must pay at least the fair market value. Have they paid the fair market value yet for the land? Or is it a matter in court because they've acquired the land and they're not able to pay for the cost of the land? And how did the $79 million judgment come about? Because if you have a developer who is negotiating, who is getting the necessary permits to develop the land, but you're frustrating the developer, there's no way that the developer could take the claim to court and be awarded a judgment if they were not in deep agreements and discussions with the NIA. So when I listen to Alexis Jeffers saying that he did this for the people of Nevis, if he could have negotiated in the best interest of the people, we could have had a beautiful development down there, and we could have still had the Herbert's Beach Affair. But I don't know, maybe he wanted to have the Herbert's Beach Affair as his personal thing. Now, you can't negotiate that as a minister of government with a prospective developer. And so that's why these they're just not happening. You look at every development that has come to light on the CCM. You look at Amman. They want to be on the board of directors of Amman. Now, where you're going to have the government who's supposed to regulate and levy fines when you violate your development promise, but you're now part of the company? So you're now going to be fining your own self? And these are the types of things that come to light. And when we wonder why we can't see development in Nevis, these are the things that are happening. And so the continued effort for all of them to mislead the people of Nevis, to feel that we went out and we got this because we wanted it for the people of Nevis. They already signed off documents, already had agreements for the place to be developed, which it ought to have been developed. Because as much as you're going to have a FET, and I think we now have, rather than a minister of investments, we have a minister of organizing community events, because every community event, he's front and center. Oh, I am doing this, I am doing that. And I had to say to somebody the other day, if you're running a school and you need a science teacher, and you hire a science teacher, but all they're talking about is history or English, they're not doing the job that they were hired to do. So who's going to suffer? The children who should have been receiving the benefits of the science instructor. So here we now have an advisor on investments. And what is he advising on? On coconuts, on soursop, on cultural armor. Where are the investments that he's talking about? The investments that we really need to be looking at is our water situation. Because we know that there's a desalination plant that is being constructed. The big issue is the cost, because they operate on, well, the majority of them, they operate on diesel fuel. But we have a wind farm over here in Butlers that provides electricity into the grid. Now, of course, the technology has to be compatible. You can't just take electricity from the wind farm and feed it into a desal plant.
Let me ask a question there, Janice. Not hold the thought, don't lose the thought, the train of thought. Is this the wind farm over there going to the countryside close to where The restaurant is close to the racetrack over there?
The dragway strip, yes.
The dragway strip? Well,
Yes.
last December when I drove to the area, a good amount of those wind turbine was on the ground line down.
Yes, because it's a private enterprise. Well, it's a PPP, and so you have to be able to work hand in hand. But I guess they're not personally benefiting from the wind farm. So, but as far as I know, it should be up. There was some issues with some of the parts, and they should be up. But sometimes they're down, even if there's no software issue, just because of how much they can put into the grid.
Okay.
But the issue that we have right now with the water problem in Nevis, we know that there are desalination plants. You listen to the Prime Minister in St. Kitts and Honorable Congress Maida, and you hear them speak about their plans for desalination plants in St. Kitts. You hear them talking about increasing the production at Marriott's Hotel. And all that our Premier can say is that a desalination plant is expensive to operate. So let me ask you this scenario. The cost of electricity is high. You don't have any water. The farmers need water. So are we just going to sit back? Because as I understood the Premier to be saying, when we get geothermal and energy is cheaper, then we can set up our desal plants. But if we have to take that approach, we're not going to be able to afford to pay for the electricity. We're not going to have any water. The farmers won't have any water to water their crops. So do you at least have a discussion and say, okay, how should we look at this? What are the advantages and the disadvantages of moving forward with desal plant? How is it St. Kitts can be increasing the capacity at Marriott, adding 2 new desal plants? How is it they can find the means and ways to do that? And we're over here struggling with water. And they said they had BEAD on contract to drill, and now they're in court with BEAD. I don't understand how all of these things end up in court. So BEAD is now in St. Kitts drilling, and we're over here saying that, oh, we have to take them to court. No, I mean, and so
I understand BEAD hit water in care and they're waiting on the testing. Some fake pages or some misinformation. People are saying no, it was fake water. I didn't know you got fake water also.
Well, I'm sure the people in Kenya wouldn't mind if it's oil, but even so, what I'm saying is the proactive approach. And I think it was about maybe 2 weeks ago, DJ, there's going to be a conference in the Bahamas in October. It is to do with Caribbean, investment in the Caribbean, where people can come together. And of course, they have their themes in agro-technology, in renewable energy, etc. And I am saying the desal plants, they now have those that operate from solar. In fact, when the Premier first broke the news about the desal plants, that is what he said. This is an exceptionally good plan that he negotiated in one of his trips, right? Because it operates on solar. Then the next thing he said, it's a hybrid. Then the next thing he said, the cost of the energy is going to be too high. So where are we really? Now there are so many opportunities to put proper capital projects together to get funding. For all of these years that he has been here fighting with geothermal energy, how come only now he can take it to CDB? Well, under NRP, we already had agreements in place with the Exim Bank that they went and did all manner of things to make sure that the deal did not go through. On the NRP, we had a whole fisheries complex, $30 million. And they did everything. The same Minister of Fisheries, who would tell you about soursop and coconut and culturama, but he can't find a way to make the cost of fuel for the fishers in Nevis the same as it is for those in St. Kitts. He can't find a way to put in a ramp for the fishermen in Nevis to take out their boats at a lesser cost. He can't find a way to develop the fisheries in Nevis. So imagine you had a portfolio to deal with fisheries. And you are now not just at the local level, also at the federal level. And you can hear talks about complex in Deep Bay coming on stream. You know, you can hear about all of these different things that are happening in St. Kitts fisheries and what's happening here. So now he's out of fisheries. Now he's supposed to be advising on investments. He's now advising on agriculture. Now, does that make any sense to you? And that is just an indication of how the CCM government takes the people of Nevis along this long journey and really have no intention, because everybody, I mean, the man has been there for a year just about. And what has he come to the media and say? I have attracted this investor, or we have found a way to collaborate. And they can't say that they're moving geothermal forward, because geothermal, remember, is a Nevis asset. But the federal government has seen the wisdom in developing geothermal energy. But to this day, like I said, we still cannot tell you what the arrangement is. But anyway, I think we have demonstrated that this CCM government is incompetent. They do not understand, they do not connect with the changing world that we're living in. And so the same ministries that we had back in 1983 are the same ministries that we have now. When all across the region, you would see Ministry of Economy, you see Ministry of Climate Action, you see Ministry of Creativity, all of these things. But we here in Nevis make it so difficult for people to participate because we're not aligning ourselves with not even at the country level or the regional level, much less the international level, to capitalize on what the current global environment is providing. And so that is one issue. We know that they're incompetent, they're not capable. I listened to the Minister of Agriculture in St. Kitts, Honorable Samuel Duggins, speak about the 25 by 2025 initiative, which is to reduce the cost of food imports by 25% by 2025. And I listened to him roll out a program of how they were going to incentivize the farmers, how they're going to incentivize the fishers. And I think the 25% for St. Kitts Nevis comes up to be about $50 million. And so if you're going to reduce your food import bill by $50 million, then they're prepared to invest that $50 million here in St. Kitts and Nevis to develop the agricultural sector. And agriculture, of course, includes the fisheries. And I listened to the plan that they have for the greenhouse, the plan that they have for desalination, the plan for they have for the security and the storage and all of these sorts of things. And I listened from our minister here in Nevis, and he said he endorsed what Minister Duggins was saying. Where is our piece of that? Okay, so if we're going to reduce it by $50 million, what are we going to be getting out of that? How do we develop on Nevis? Now we have the egg, we have the chicken processing facility. I'm hoping that they're getting it constructed. But here again is another situation, because we're trying to develop that chicken processing facility. There's still some debate about whether or not the hatchery is going to be in St. Kitts or whether or not there's going to be a hatchery in Nevis as well. Because to me, if you're looking at a project and you're looking at it holistically and you're trying to be self-reliant, I don't care, how close we are. At the end of the day, when you have hurricane and rough seas, not a man could go from Nevis to St. Kitts or from St. Kitts to Nevis. So when we are looking at making Nevis self-reliant and developing Nevis, to the extent that we could develop an industry in Nevis holistically, nothing wrong with having a hatchery in St. Kitts as well, because the more the better. I mean, there's a lot of chicken eating going on around here. But why develop, again, an incomplete concept when it comes to this? And say, okay, well, we're going to do this piece, and St. Kitts, you could do that piece. So you look at, but then everything, remember we say water is life. So if you're not taking water as a priority for even human consumption, what good is it going to be for you to have your chicken facility if you don't have water? I don't know if you remember when restaurants had to be closed because there was no water. Water
Janice,
is a major priority. It is a major priority.
Not interrupting you, but you know, there's a common saying that knowledge is power, right? And one person not doing the right thing will affect the entire federation, the entire island of Nevis. And if we're not learning from what just transpired there in Hawaii, Maui, I think they say they call it, and the island burned down, when common sense would have saved that island. Because you should know when you have that kind of problem, you kill the power grid, you don't keep it running. You kill your fuel transport, you don't keep those things online. So what is happening there at Nevis? We could sit here all night and we could try the case and we can see every failure that the CCM government under the leadership of Mark Brantley is doing. But outside of that, what are we going to do as a people, as an opposition, to get some action going? Because small business are suffering. I hear them crying out. I get calls weekly. I got several voice notes that I will not play on the program because I do not want to put people business on the street. But people are crying out for so many different ways. I'm getting calls from Sinkis, I'm getting calls from Nevis. As a matter of fact, something came up here on Monday evening. Is it Monday? Sunday evening. Oh, I think it's Sunday evening. I got a call from a friend of mine. You're familiar with Christine Walwyn, Dr. Christine Walwyn?
Yes.
Okay. Last week, during the Prime Minister's stint with me, we went into a couple of discussions. And the Prime Minister was speaking about getting the diaspora involved. So he was putting together a team of people to make sure that they reach the masses as broad and wide as possible. And brother, I think it's Daly, sent in a question. And he was supposed to join me tonight, but since you're here, he's decided he'll stay off and give you the opportunity to have the conversation with me. But according to what I'm hearing from Christine and Big Lice, the man Duncan Watley, they are already implementing what Dr. Drew spoke about last week, the Secretariat, which Brother Daly was saying the federal office at Nevis still is not materialized, or still not open. But look that Dr. Joe and his team has advanced getting the Secretariat going. And there wasn't a need in his mind for it. And we're gonna have a further conversation, but I realize, and I will present it to you and you could give me your views on it, how you feel about it. Yes, the federal office at Nevis, I think, is necessary. As a matter of fact, I spoke to Delhi, who has a vast experience in that area here in New York. And I think she was in Nevis at some time working with the NRP. And I told her that she should send in her CV and try get involved down there, because in terms of people working in the federal office or in the electoral office, we need people who can make decisions in the best interest of the islands of St. Kitts and Nevis, not in the best interest of PAM, Labor, NRP, CCM, whatever. We want people that will follow the structure, follow the rules, not people who are just going to violate them at will. That's what we have right now. So I am hoping that we have some people are like Carlisle and myself. We cannot be in them office because we might be a little biased, but we want to put people in there who are going to be deep following the rules. And one of the things that they did here, again, folks might cry out and say it, and even I might agree, that here is it. We had such an important meeting here in New York. I think it's the first one. And they're going to be traveling the region, the Virgin Islands, Tortola, St. Martin, Anguilla, the UK, Canada, to speak about this secretariat and trying to get people involved. Nevis is right there next door. So my question to you when I finish what I'm saying is to find out whether or not anyone speak to you or reach out to you in this regard. Because what they're trying to do is to get a database set up with nationals around the globe, home and abroad, their skills, their age and whatever, that who can contribute to the development of St. Kitts and Nevis. This is a federal program. This is not a St. Kitts program. And for this meeting to be taking place in New York and one not taking place in Nevis, I am pretty sure that there are people right there in Nevis who is capable of contributing in these areas. So my question to you, have anybody reach out to you as the leader of the NRP or someone in the NIA in regard to this secretariat that has been set up?
Yes, we did have conversations with Dr. Walwyn and her team. They came over to Nevis and we had a meeting with them. We did outline some of the areas where we felt the arrangement could be enhanced. And of course, like you said, you know, the intent to try to make engagements and to make work easier for folks in the diaspora. You know, we continue to raise the issue that it is unfair for the people in Nevis to have to go to St. Kitts when there are certain programs that address, you know, their welfare. I mean, the PAP and the STEP and all of these are federal programs. And we do not feel that it is right in order to have those programs being administered by whoever is in the NIA. You know, there must be some distinction between what are the programs of the NIA and what are the programs of the federal government.
Right.
And so everybody should have equal opportunity to participate. You should not have to be screened by a CCM government. And that is one of the challenges that we have been having. And so while we can appreciate the effort of what the objective of the initiative is, at the same time, you know, we must express the need to have those same opportunities for the people of Nevis as well. And so, as you mentioned, it is a program to build better networking with the diaspora, and you know, you would want to hope and imagine that whether it's a Labour government, PAM government, whichever government, you'd want to hope that those types of programs, that the structure is in place. So even if you may have to change bodies per se, that the program can still function effectively. And that is something that I have seen where, you know, governments change and people change, and there's no consideration to the continuity.
Things stay the same. Things stay the same. If the government change, things continue the same. Stick up in there. Let's take a listen to one of our radio personalities that will give us an experience in that area.
Every day, change the government, and the government come with a different set of bad-minded people. Oh, look at work here. Man, understand it? We talk about ease of doing business. As a business person coming into St. Kitts to do business or start up a business, the amount of crap you got to go through just to get a business started. Go so, come back on so, then it's going to take 3 weeks because we got to send a letter up so, and then the letter got to come back and then go to the person there, and then when you go to the person there, they got to know, well, who business this year? Where the person their mother from? Who the person mother vote for last 3 elections? They got to know all of that the first before they could sign off on your document. And you, everything attached to the document that needs to be attached to the document, you know. But they want to know who it is you belong to before they could sign off on your thing. And woe be unto you if it so happen that your mother happened to be somebody who was affiliated with a party who not in power. That they gone under the table go lie down weeks. And when you call to ask, well, what's going on with my document? The person who's supposed to sign off on it gone on vacation. Well, wait, they gone with all the pen them too? So they go on vacation, in nobody second in command to sign off on me document. I got to wait until them they come back from gallivanting and government money to get me document signed. Oh, you look at me. Modo. Me.
Okay, so again, I know you might be laughing at me, but I just have to stick them in as we have the conversation because they're appropriate for the conversation that we are having. So that was my boy Ike. Speaking about the hardship of doing business in the Federation. And it is now really, in my view, nothing new under the sun. So it appears though that Sister Janice Daniel Hodge video is sticking. So I'm going to drop a track in here while I give her an opportunity to get her act together, and we'll get her back online that we can continue the conversation. I guess Baby Brantley is jamming the signal down there. He don't want to hear from Sister Janice Daniel Hodge this evening. But let's see who got the O. Let's drop this track here. This one is the man with the O. Where the man with the O today? Where he be? Where he be? Where the man with the O today? Lord Hodge.
I think Calypso, high performance shows, but I didn't know in politics they play bingo. Some great men get together, they point to tackle the old leader. But as the ship began to sail, corruption and greed want to prevail. He got to take a real strong leader to stand up and face that monster. And say no, nothing at all go so. You can't bingo without the O. Because it's B-I-N-G-O. That is how to spell bingo. Mabu want the O. Southside want the O. Big Lice want the O. Lord God want the O. And as soon as they end bingo, man they quick to mash up the show. But I have the O. It's me that trust with the O. I don't care how they sing the calypso. Lord, it's me that trust with the O. I am the O. Politics, you got to be up to your partner tricks. Men come on board early with their agenda hidden secretly. We got to be strong to tell them no. Them boys make trouble anywhere they go. You got a real strong leader with charisma and people center. And say no, nothing at all go so. You can't bingo without the O. Because it's B-I-N-G-O. That is how to spell bingo. Crecton want the O. Watley want the O. Terry want the O. Forrest want the O. And as soon as they end bingo, man they quick to mash up the show. But I got the O. With me they trust with the O. I don't care how they talk on the radio. Man is made a trust video. I got the O. That we know the way the thing does go, that in politics you always find a bandit or hypocrite. You got to wear up that wolf in sheep clothing. They always find a way they could fit in. You got to be vigilant and strong. You see them with the backbone in their hand. You got to take a real strong leader who's God fearing with good character. And say no, nothing at all go so. You can't bingo without you. Because it's B-I-N-G-O. That is how to spell bingo. Webster want the O. Dwyer want the O. Wally want the O. Carly want the O. And as soon as they end bingo, man they quick to mash up the show. But I got the O. Give me the trust video. Just because they can't make me floppy too. They're calling me name anywhere they go. Yo. Just the way it go, that my politics, goat and sheep just get the same licks. They forget the good Samaritan who hold their hand and lead them round and round. Soon as they glimpse the promised land, they let out the skin and start to run. You got to take a real strong leader, stand up and face that monster, and say no, nothing at all goes so. You can't bingo without the O. Because it's B-I-N-G-O. That is how to spell bingo. Mary want the O. Sheila want the O. Sandra want the O. Dixon want the O. And as soon as they end bingo, man they quick to mash up the show. But I got the O. Give me the trust with the O. I don't care how they sing their calypso. Lord is me, they trust video.
Nice. The man Lord cut with the O. Well, Sister Janice, I guess they send the squad for you to take down your internet again.
Yes. Yes. Well, I'm back. I'm gonna come back. No matter how many times it drops, I'll be back. So.
Well, you know be here waiting for you patiently because we're not run from them, We're not run from them. I got a clip here I was about to play for you from my boy Everson Powell. I think he might be somewhere today in Anguilla, St. Martin. So let's take a listen to this one. This was something from On Target last Saturday.
Hey, good afternoon, Mr. Daniel and Mr. Daly.
Good afternoon.
How you guys doing?
Good, thanks. I'm good.
I'm calling on the show to speak about our so-called premier.
Okay.
I listen to you guys weeks after weeks, on Saturdays and on Thursday night on the Tell Me program. This guy have been so destructive to Nevis. The point that gets me what I don't understand, why he can't be removed? Eh?
Well,
does this guy have some kind of special God or some kind of magic in him that he can't be removed? This guy has done so much wrong and continue to do. And there's no outcry from the Nevis people. Every time he keeps his stupid show on a Wednesday night, he have a bunch of callers that calls in, that supports him. When you guys are there speaking, there's nobody calls in, and you all show to show that they're outraged about the foolishness he's doing. You know, so it seems as though the Nivision public accept what he's doing.
It appears that way.
You know,
It appears
and
that
it really hurts me because I'm from Nevis, I'm not living there. But I know in the outer world, he cannot be doing what he's doing, and the people just sit down and accept it. Eh? We keep looking to Sinkets to be our savior. It's not going to happen. Sinkets politicians have no interest in what's happening in Nevis. It's not going to happen. So we as Nevisians have to find a way to get rid of Mark. It seems to me as if it only can be done by an election. No, we have to find another way to get rid of this guy. It's about time. You know, and I don't know what research is going to take for us to get the proper information, what is necessary and what is needed to remove him. But he has to be removed, brother. That's the only way. You understand? Else, I think things are going to be drastic and we're going to have some serious problem there. I know he like to talk about taking people to court and all the garbage that he talks. You know, these people got to rise up and stop being afraid of him.
True. That's important.
You know, he's very disrespectful, the way he speaks to people, condescending, you know, and it's about time people stop taking a foolishness from him. If I was living in Nevis, I know for sure, he know he speak, I can give him my name. My name is Everson Powell, okay? I'm from Craddock Road, I grew up in Jessups. If I was in Nevis, it would have been a different story. I'm tired of this guy and his foolishness. We as Nevisians move out of Nevis, live elsewhere, and we see how our government function. Not like what we have there, man. What we have there is garbage.
Yes. But you see, Everson,
it hurts.
Let me tell you
the whole Caribbean, even right next door to in Statia, is moving ahead of Nevis, Anguilla, Tortola. Every Caribbean island is improving their infrastructure and moving their people up, except Nevis. Nevis is going backward. When I come home, I'm ashamed. I heard you guys speak about the whatever you call it in Owari Pier, that service that they have to take the boat.
What the fast ferry?
Yeah,
the ferry service.
Yeah, I was there early this year. Not even early, like a month and a half ago. I had an aunt passed away in Sinkets. I was in Nevis. I came to Nevis. I came there on my boss plane. Okay? Then I went to Sinkets the following day. And when I get to that spot, that's why he said he spent all the money on. And there's 10 there.
Yep. 5.5 million.
I was ashamed and appalled, man. And this guy bragging about he did that. That guy should be ashamed of himself. That's an eyesore, a disaster, a disgrace.
Hear you, brother. Hear you and I feel you.
It really pains me, man, when I come home and I see all this foolishness and hearing about all this money that being spent in Nevis. You know, the petition is not going to help us, brother. The Prime Minister, he have his own problem in Sinkets. They're not going to help us up there. It's been shown. You understand? The Prime Minister is there for a year. Have you ever come to Nevis and hold anything tangible to Nevisians? No. When a man show you who they is, that's where they are. You know? Anyhow, guys, I'll continue listening.
Right. Thank you, brother, for the call. Appreciate it.
Okay, so sister, that was Everson Powell there calling in, venting his frustration and what's taking place at Nevis. And to be honest with you, I share the sentiments of the gentleman, like I said earlier. Let us alone wonder. You know the song?
Yes.
Serious song. We need some boots on the ground.
Well, listen, I do agree that there are different approaches and there are different means of getting to the desired outcome. I am someone who also believes that the rule of law. We have a constitution. The constitution says this is what the how the election occurs. The Premier has the right to call the election. Now, based on all that we are seeing, because the NRP has really withstood. I want to say withstood, because I don't really feel that we are being, pitiful and in all of the struggles that we have had meted out to us. We have, whatever came at us and whatever is coming at us, we're prepared to, stand up and be solid in our agenda to put Nevis back on the right path to prosperity. The challenge is, and I listen to people, and I really do believe that the federal government must take a greater interest in the democracy of this country. It cannot be just on paper, because I think it's like 20-something bills that have gone to Parliament. And I listened to the Prime Minister speak about this marriage ring. It's a crime, what has been happening. And we know that has really impacted the politics, both in St. Kitts and Nevis. And of course, Nevis has a smaller population, so the impact is going to be greater. And we have seen legislation for 420. We have seen legislation for Nevis to be sued and not to be sued for the Rastafari. We've seen a number of bills, and all I do feel that all of them are necessary. We need the legislation that is going to put a stop to that illegal marriage ring. Because once somebody is married and they have the right to be a citizen, based on the law, again, you cannot stop them from registering to be a voter. But if the Prime Minister said it's illegal, he knows it's corrupt. He said it on national, media. And this is something when we say we need to fix the electoral office. The electoral office needs to be fixed. Those lists need to be purged. Because we know and we see it each time. The people of Nevis are not sitting back and not doing anything. They voted against the CCM government. But when you have all of these irregularities that can be addressed at the federal level, and they're allowed to continue and fester. I mean, these are the things. This is where we really need to push to ensure that these, illegal activities are not happening. And so if the Prime Minister can say, what he has been told by people, well, where is the action to address that? Certainly, it is not to NRP's advantage. And if it is now, because you're in government and so you feel you're not on the outside trying to get in, but you must be a man of your words. And if you believe in upholding democracy at the highest level in St. Kitts and Nevis, we cannot pick and choose. So we cannot condemn one thing on a radio and then do nothing to address it. So these are the conversations that, I have had before with the Prime Minister. And I hear you, letters alone won't do, writing won't do, but we do live in a democratic society and we do live in a land of law and order. And so it is unfair that maybe on one side we're trying to ensure that we, uphold our Constitution and the principles of our Constitution. And on the other side, they're just pretty much walking all over it and finding loopholes here and there to do what they need. I mean, there's so many areas that we can look at. But you say you've been speaking to some folks. I've been talking as well. We need that electoral office. We need the lists to be purged. Who should not be on there should be removed. All these people who cannot prove where their grandparents are, they get a name from the cemetery. I hear people saying that or they see certain high officials in CCM in the cemetery, and they say they're working all kind of stuff, but they're up there looking for the names. You know, it's a whole racket, and those things must be stopped. And so I would say tonight that if the Prime Minister is serious about holding up the principles of democracy in St. Kitts and Nevis, you cannot turn a blind eye to what is happening on Nevis. Cannot. And once we do what is right, then the chips will fall where they may. But we cannot sit back and see how things are happening, speak about it, and then do nothing about it. I don't know if you're hearing, we're having a huge downpour.
Yeah, I could hear it. Sister Janice, in response to what you were saying, right? I'm listening to what you are saying, and I can say this, right? There are conversations that you and I may have that I cannot come wholly and solely and discuss on social media like this. There are only certain things that I may be able to talk about. Just as I have a conversation with the Prime Minister, and just the same I've had conversation with Mark Brantley when he was a part of the Team Unity concussion. What is funny for me is that in speaking with Mark Brantley back in the days, Mark Brantley knew what they were doing was wrong. Ain't no question about it. Mark Brantley have congratulated and encouraged me to keep this program going, because he said that programs like these is what the people need to make them aware of stuff and hold people foot to the fire. But where Baby Brantley and I, let's say Mark Premier and then Baby Brantley, because it's where he take me, right? The issue with him and I is when I ask him the questions and I fact check him on certain conversation and realize that all he's doing is bullshitting me. I have a problem with that, because when you have been paid as a premier, you have been paid as a civil servant, you have to serve the people. That's first and foremost. And when he realized that I am onto him, he make offers to come here and chat with me and whatever during the breakup with him and Timothy and stuff like that and the Team Unity. But he realized that he cannot answer the questions I have to ask. So instead of him being the man as he should be and be respectful and let's move on, his MO is to disrespect and curse and carry on and whatever. And I'm not in that with him. Just as I said to you, I don't think it's no secret to anybody here during the federal elections. You and I was on a difference of opinion, and I gave you my views, you gave me your views. When the election was over, I reached out to you, we spoke, and we understand each other and we move on. Because it's not about us, it's about the people, it's about the island of St. Kitts and Nevis. And we need to get a leader who understands that. It's not about Mark Brantley and his family or his friends. Every time you look around, like you said, we're hearing about Daniel's an associate, his wife. I don't want to touch his wife, but she's a part of the mix-up. Because the situation with the bank that I'm hearing, that she was a member of a board, the bank is now is threatening and whatever stuff like that. I'm going to let you discuss those things, but I also want to come back to the Prime Minister. Conversation that I've had with the Prime Minister in regards to these investigations. Privately, what he explained to me makes sense. And I could break it down this way. And hopefully we can get a better understanding. There was an election in America in 2020. There was a move by some people to take advantage of what the people wanted in a president. They started this fake movement to try and obstruct the swearing in of Joe Biden. And the 6th of January, I guess, was 21. They invade the Capitol. There has been a lot of investigation. This took place in 2020, 2021. Is in 2023 people get in charge. I am saying what happened with the elections on Nevis and on St. Kitts, it's only a year ago. And these investigations, to my understanding, does not involve just St. Kitts or the the governments and the people of St. Kitts. External forces are also investigating. As a result of that, certain things take time. Those fake marriages that you referred to a while ago, they're real. They're not phantom marriages. I sat with a gentleman who is the brother of the former Prime Minister, Timothy Harris. And he confessed to me that he's one of those people who was a part of that marriage. He got a wife and married to a wife and got his money. Never kissed the wife yet. A lot of that took place. So what the Prime Minister is talking about is not fake news. They are factual. And the investigation, the process have to take place. One of the last things you want to do is go out there and charge somebody and lock them down, and then the Privy Council and somebody comes say you didn't give them their due process and whatever, and the government end up have to pay out bills. Like right now, the island of Nevis have to pay out some 10 million or more for this project, this land business in Nevis, because things was not done properly. So Prime Minister Joe, he's not going to be reactive because people is telling him, haul them in and lock them up. Haul them in and do this to them. He's not going to do that because he knows the process. He knows what is going on. The Hush Puppy matter, Hush Puppy is in prison already. He's sentenced. But that case is still ongoing. And that is not just about St. Kitts Nevis. That is an international matter. The CBI situation, again, that is ongoing. That's a serious matter. Mark Brantley was the foreign minister under the federal cabinet of Timothy Harris as prime minister. There was a breach at the airport, from what I understand, with one of the ministers in the likes of Ian Patches Libert. Report was filed. I understand our airport was demoted and all this stuff. These things are real cases. There was nothing released. There was nothing done. You heard Mark Brantley say for himself that under the former administration, anything you want, go to sleep or dead, give it to Juicy. The Attorney General, give it to him, you're not going to further. This is our foreign minister saying that. This was our then foreign minister. This is now the Premier of Nevis. Our Premier of Nevis currently, I heard him said in Parliament that the freedom of information and the good governance and all of these things that has been passed in St. Kitts ain't gonna go nowhere. They don't mean nothing to him. And he's doing whatever necessary in Nevis to ensure that that does not work in Nevis as well. This is why you don't have a leader of the opposition in Nevis. This is why your public account committee is not functioning. He's doing everything within his power, but everything is going with time, Sister Janice. Things gonna come in order. The Prime Minister is paying attention. The Prime Minister knows what needs to be done. The Attorney General is still waiting on him to respond to me, because I need to know from him what powers he have as per the Constitution to deal with the matters of the NIA, where the Public Account Committee is concerned and where the leader of the opposition is concerned. Because my view, I could be wrong, but DJ Morrishaw's view is this. The two parties that contest the local election on December 12, 2022, that came out with seats was CCM and the NRP. That is what I know. And whatever transpired between Cleon and the NRP, you as the leader of NRP is the leader of the opposition, because once she go and declare herself independent, she disqualifies herself from having any conversation with the NIA. If she had maintained her status as a member of the NRP, you and her could fight for the rest, whatever time something is taking place. But in my view, when she went and declared herself independent, there was no independent that win a seat during the election. So she disqualified herself. They can fix this problem if they want to. The Honorable Attorney General could fix this problem. The Honorable Governor General, she was a lawyer. She knows the law. she should know whatever loophole can be used to address these matters. So all I'm saying to you is, going on a radio station in St. Kitts and Nevis, coming on this program and speaking and not putting something in writing to the cabinet to get some movements from the Prime Minister, it's not going to help. That's why I keep speaking about writing the letters. The same way you're going to come down to St. Kitts and jump up with me for independence when I come, I want you to get the letter together. Let my boy Carbo and them come down with me. Let's take a walk across the Church Street and present our letter. We need these matters addressed. This is what is taking place in Nevis. It's in the interest of the federal cabinet to deal with these matters.
Yeah,
these are the things I'm talking about.
Yeah, I don't think it's just letters. I mean, as we said, letters have been written. It's not a matter of letters. And I'm aware of certain provisions in the Constitution where, you know, certain things, once it's in the Constitution, the issue that we have as far as the leader of the opposition is concerned is that the Premier determined when he wanted someone to act as leader of the opposition, even though there were none, because based on the Constitution that you need to have the support of at least one other. I mean, that is as clear as day, and you know, former Governor General Tapley Seaton, he has passed, and I did have a conversation with him regarding the matter. And so if there's one person, there's no leader. If there is more than one, you need to have the support of the other. But what was interesting, if there is one, then there's no leader of the opposition. All right, that has been expressed quite clearly. But in order to come forward and give the impression that he is so desirous of presenting the NIA as an NIA of integrity, he passed the Integrity in Public Life Ordinance over here in Nevis. And the ordinance requires that the leader of the opposition appoint a member. But there was no leader of the opposition. But he took it upon himself to ask Mr. Parry, who was then the only member of NRP in Parliament, to appoint someone. Well, now we're in a situation where the term has expired, and the same way that there was no leader of the opposition back then to appoint a member to that commission, there is no leader right now, based on his analysis. But I guess he doesn't need to pump his chest and say that he passed the Integrity in Public Life Ordinance even before the federal government did it, knowing that it wasn't worth the paper that it was written on. Because the provisions of the federal act that gave strength to the ordinance, he removed all of that and went into the NIA, the Nevis Island Assembly, and passed something that he passed off as trying to maintain integrity in NIA. So from the get-go, there was no real Integrity in Public Life Commission, because what the ordinance required to be done to have it established could not be done. And so as it is right now, I think they're operating with only 2 members, but that
is that
ordinance, well, the ordinance allows for 2 persons to form a quorum, but was it ever properly constituted?
That's the question I'm asking.
That's the question.
You know,
so if there were no leader of the opposition and the ordinance asks, or the ordinance requires that the leader of the opposition appoint a member, could we really say that that ordinance, I mean, you know, sometimes you pass ordinance and you put it on the back burner, waiting for certain things. So that is one that should have been put on the back burner. But he wanted to advance his agenda, knowing fully well that, yes, we're going to say, yes, we're operating, we're not we're not having mismanagement of funds or anything like that. But really, he knew that there wasn't anything to
I am asking on behalf of the people of Nevis, Janice. There's something such as past practice. I do not know how far you are with it, but there's something such as past practice. I have negotiated several contracts here in the New York metropolitan area and on the US mainland and a whole for one of the biggest union, 1199 SCIU. And many things that we was able to put into those contracts as we go through the years was based on past practice. Stuff that management did not want to do, but they curry favor somebody because they want them to bring them news. And that person that they carry the news to them, they do them a favor for a couple of months. I document, and at negotiations, they had no choice. No matter what the Constitution says, no matter whatever audience they got, they say, I am saying to you that you don't need to be a scholar to know that if you are a part of a team and you say you're done with the team, you don't have no say in it anymore. The Honorable Cleon Stapleton is not honorable anymore. She made herself dishonorable when she decided to go independent. You cannot go independent after the game done. A cricket game is simple, you know. You could ask Astro and Carlisle, they're into cricket. You have to declare your 13-man team, you know. And you know why it's 13? You got a 12-man. And you got a scorer or somebody to carry water, whatever the case might be. Whatever you got on the paper. If your team get injuries, you're not going to use nobody outside of the squad, you know. You got to use what you declare. During the elections, you all declare your team. If somebody decide they're going to leave the team, you can't go play for another team now. CPL coming to St. Kitts shortly. They already had their pick, I think, this week of their players. You think in the midstream of the game, they could talk about they're going to change any players and they're going to be respected? They know what the rules are, but if you all don't fight for it, guess what? They're going to get away with it. Bob Marley said, get up, stand up. Stand up for your rights. Stand up for the people of Nevis. That's why you're there. It's not going to be easy. We might be in the minority, but we got your back and we're strong. We're very strong. And I see you got some soldiers behind you there. I just love to hear Miguel JD and the pit bull there, Patricia Bartlett. I know they could deal with the matters. They could hang in there until I get there. And my brother Rohan, I have not really had an opportunity to meet, mingle with him like I should. But you got a good team behind you. Your executive, I think I only know one or two of them. But you got the people behind you. You got people that is willing to roar with you. The Marco fella, Baby Brantley, the people them stop roar. You got people roaring. So give them the leadership that is required. They want boots on the ground. This is not how you feel. The people want boots on the ground, put boots on the ground. That's what the people calling for. That's what Carbo calling for. That's what Morrishaw calling for. That's what Evan Ellie calling for. That's what Everson Powell calling for. That's what Hazel Claxton calling for. We will come home. We will join you. You're not going to be on your own. Get your things going. Let us know the date.
I hear you. There's always so much going on, always so much to do, different angles to look at things. It's interesting. We're supposed to be having a sitting of the Nevis Island Assembly later on this month. Not expecting anything new, really. We have seen the same amendments here and there, and we really question the plan for Nevis going forward when we see what is happening. The airport issue is one that I think the people really are very concerned about, based on where we are and the advisor who's supposed to be advising on the airport. If we have to pick, two issues based on the approach that you are looking at with regards to why we really must agitate for the change prior to the time. I think the water issue is a grave issue. I think, for someone to sit back and pray that it rains so that the island of Mavis can have water. You're not hearing about any plans. It is too expensive to use, different source of water. I think that is a grave issue, and we cannot continue without the necessary action. Because if we continue this way, we're gonna wake up one morning and Four Seasons will not be able to operate because there's no water. The restaurants we already see have been closing because of the lack of water. We have the one hospital. We really cannot play with the water situation, and we do need some more aggressive, programs and ideas as to how we're going to address that water problem. The airport, again, for over a year, 2 years, we've been hearing about the negotiations. The Premier thought it best to put Alexis Jeffers to deliver the airport bill. Well, what has Alexis Jeffers really delivered? I mean, the negotiations that have been ongoing, it appears from what has been coming out, the Premier is negotiating with the developer, and Alexis is supposedly negotiating with the landowners. I don't know when they come together. I don't know if Alexis knows what lands he's supposed to be negotiating for. I don't know if the Premier knows how he's going to deal with his responsibilities, because as we understand it, the developer would pay for certain structural improvements, and the NIA, or I suspect the Port Authority, would have responsibilities for the salaries and different things like that. But, as I mentioned, the Port Authority, when we look at the way that business is done just across the waters in St. Kitts, when it comes to the Port Authority, I listened to Minister Henderson speaking about some plans to expand, do some work at the RLB airport. And you know what I found refreshing was when she said she had a meeting with the board of directors at Casper, and they agreed that they would have to put out a tender to get the work done. Now here in Nevis, we have a NASPA, and when you listen to Alexis Jeffers speak about the water taxi facility, up to now, you have not heard the role of NASPA. Now in St. Kitts, when you're developing cruise ship docks and anything to do with ports, you have a statutory body that deals with these things. So where is NASPA in the water taxi facility? Where is NASPA in the airport? That is why that body is there. And so when you see Alexis Jeffers saying that he's, responsible for this and he's responsible for that, it just shows you that the government is operating in a manner of confusion. Because you cannot single-handedly go out and say you want to build a pier, 10 feet, and then you want to extend it and put on a T. And then, look, so they're building the waiting area. And again, this piecemeal approach. Now we know that the area down there is a bit congested, And so you have the building that is there already. And before you put a steel frame around it and put an upper level and a lower level to maximize the space that you have, right? They can put the same building that's there. And this is the same person, who says that they could see the need to extend the pier. But that is not how you develop an island. That is not how you do major infrastructural development. You must have your feasibility study. You must have your master plan. And then you roll it out bit by bit, but you already know what the final deliverable is going to be before you even start. And so when we keep seeing this piecemeal, it's costing us, the taxpayers, money. Because it's just as we feel like put on a little VIP at the on the track. Oh, I call up my partner and I call up my brother, they're gone and they put on that. Where is the master plan? And the thing that is troubling is when you are saying that this is how you develop an island. They seem as if you're talking nonsense. Oh, I wake up this morning, I have an idea. I wake up and I feel like I should knock down the Newcastle police station. No plan in place. They said it wasn't me. No plan in place, no money.
You know, the funny thing is, as my boy Myla Box wrote an article today, you know, and Baby Brantley, Premier Brantley, call him whatever you want. He went and what Myla Box wrote and say amen, amen, you know. And I wonder if he realized that Myla Box speaking about him, you know. And I'm gonna take off my glasses to read this for you know, sister. I'm gonna take off my glasses because I want him to see my face, right? Myla Box posting for this morning was, you are only a lawyer because you studied law. You are only a doctor because you studied medicine. You are only an economist because you studied finance. At no time does that make you better than anyone else. You are now ready to make your biggest investment building your house. I bet you can't run 2 rows of blocks. Hence, you have to call a mason. I bet you can't build a cupboard. Hence, you have to call a carpenter. I bet you can't wire a house. Hence, you have to call in an electrician. You see, your profession may pay you more, but it's not more important than anyone else. Humility is key to life, to life's door. Baby Brantley went on that post and said, amen, amen, twice. I wonder if he actually read the post, or somebody operating his page for him, or he really have the actually understanding to understand that this fit his profile, that he don't have no respect for nobody. Janice, you guys have, I do not know how much people are Navy is the population. Whether 10,000, 15,000, whatever, I do not know. But could you imagine if you have a town hall meeting and you ask, you set to divisions, we would like to do this project. Give us your input, give us your idea. You will be amazed how much good ideas you get from those people. You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Not when you're done.
Not when you don't do it. Not when you don't do it.
Right, exactly. Because then you just really, you know, looking for a rubber stamp. You know, the idea is to come with the concept and you get the input. And then you can negotiate because like I said, we are already hearing the figures of $25, $26 million, right? Well, we still don't know if it's going to be extended to the north. But a critical part of any expansion in that area must look at the fisheries in that area, and you must look at the biodiversity in that area. And when we look globally, such a big effort to try to protect the biodiversity from the whole climate change, etc. You protect the biodiversity because you don't know what's going on the micro level. And so we may know, okay, we get a fish and we eat it, but you do not know how the entire ecosystem operates. And so you do not want to eradicate some species that, when we speak about not having a full understanding of our ocean and all that it holds, you know, you don't know the one thing that you may eradicate and that turns the whole system upside down. I mean, you know about the prey and the predator, etc., right? And so without doing any studies in that area, first of all, we don't know how the expansion is going to be, you know, aligned. And so where do you begin to study? And then I just recently read an article about in the Bahamas, where based on the amount of seagrass that they have, how that alone is going to turn around the economy in the billions of dollars. Now that area where the airport is, that is our most biodiverse marine area in the country. And so for you to arrive at a figure and you have not assessed the natural environment and how the development is going to impact it, we're going down a very, very, steep slope.
Not only that, Janice, I do not know how many people had the luxury as I did to come over to the shows there for your Fishers Day and Navies, where you guys do your stuff on a Saturday. I came there, I enjoy meeting the guys, had a good time. I wish I was there to play some dominoes. But I know whatever is taking place is gonna have an effect on that. Where will these people operate, these fishers operate when they are dislocated from there?
Well, I mean, the talk on the street is that they will shift over to the same Herbert's Beach area. Now, Morrishaw, you know, and I know, the fishermen are not where they are just because they want to go there. The fishermen don't end up, you don't have fish landing sites at particular areas around the islands of St. Kitts and Nevis because it just happens to be a better area. It is all based on the entire coastal, how the island is structured, all of these things. So you can't pick up, the fishermen and say, oh, we're just going to move you over here. There's a reason why they're not there in the first place. They're in the optimal place to deal with the fisheries issues. So not knowing all of these things, I find it very difficult for anybody to be involved in any serious negotiations about cost.
So in a nutshell, we could put it for the people who doesn't understand what you're trying to say. It's totally impossible to take a fish out of a fish bowl and put it in a cup, and it's going to live there without the water, right? Basically, that's what they want to do.
Well, yeah. Well, I guess you put it that way. You understand that.
Simple. I'm talking to simple people, because if you take the fish out of the environment where it's going to survive and enjoy itself and get the best of, and put it on a little cup on the table.
It's not the fish,
I know the fishermen. I'm saying the fishermen the same way. The fishermen is the same way. You are taking the fishermen from the ideal areas where they should be operating.
Right, where they've been operating for years.
Okay, let me put it in the St. Paul's way. You're taking the fishermen boat from the seashore and you're carrying it in the mountain at Kitishan Hill. You're going to build a pool up there. Something like when Talbot said he's going to move the beach up to St. Peter's when he went under Team Unity. But and he's going to move the dump from Canary to St. Paul's. These are what you are trying to do in Nevis. Is those things possible?
Listen, when it comes to development, just about anything can be done. But you must understand.
At what cost? At what cost?
At what cost? That is the key. That is the key. And so the question is here, how can you negotiate a price and you don't know what the cost is? Because you don't know if you move even 10 feet down the beach, do you need to build a breakwater?
It makes a difference. It makes a difference.
So that the boats can come in, and who's going to build that? So you must look at these things holistically. You're developing an island, and you want to develop the island so that you can grow and be progressive, not to break down and put back and these sorts of things. And if you don't take the time upfront to plan properly and do the necessary studies, so that you can, as my good friend Sylvester like to say, measure twice and cut once. If you just want to keep cutting, eventually you're going to have nothing to cut, because you're going to be destroying all that we have, what we have as natural resources.
And that seems to be a common practice in Nevis, because I'm still waiting to hear when you're going to unpause the hospital project. I have seen one or two press conferences since. I have not heard anything further on the expansion wing. What's the status of that? Any updates?
Well, I will tell you this, and we have all these different analogies, because here you are, you're going to build your house, right? Let's go back to the house situation. And I know when you go to the bank, most of us have to go to the bank right? And the bank wants to see your quantity survey. How much galvanized you're gonna need, how much 2x4, how much, and the price. So before the bank would give you money, you need to go to the bank. You need to go to your developer, and they'll give you a listing of what everything is going to cost.
An appraisal of the cost.
Okay. Last time I heard the Premier speak about the hospital. You see, this is why I don't like to use local people, because somebody promised that they're going to do this survey in a month or 2 months, and they can't do it. I know they already have half the money. I know we have to find somebody else. I mean, don't you see the pattern here? These things must be done before you go looking for money. You must know what the overall project is going to cost. Because how can you go to SIDF and say we want, $8 million to build the hospital? But $8 million based on what? You understand what I'm saying? So these are the problems. So now the issue is the blame is now shifted to somebody who's supposed to be giving them this survey of what they would need on the inside, right? So we don't know what that is going to be, and so we don't know how much more we're going to need to have to invest in that hospital. So saying all that to say, if you listen to my good friend Sylvester, measure twice. You must do all of these things upfront to know what you're dealing with. So there's no update on the hospital.
Okay, well, you said there's going to be some kind of assembly coming up soon. The Premier said you have not presented anything in the NIA since you since you've been elected. So I would suggest that you present something to him before any further work continue, to get individuals that has the experience. We have local people that can do it, I can assure you. I am one of those people. Get local individual that has the experience to read those plans, the original plans that was designed. Don't break down anything else, because all you're gonna do.
But DJ, I'm gonna stop you. I have to stop you. No, I have to stop you, DJ, because you cannot go back to the original plans, because what you have there is not what was on the original plans.
I understand.
The reason why you cannot do a proper survey is because what they have there really just needs to be knocked down. You not understand it?
Yeah, but I'm saying to you, instead of knocking it down, I am of the view that whatever is there can be used for something instead of wasting that money. And whatever they was trying to accomplish, let's see what they was trying to accomplish and see how best we can get it done elsewhere. Taking down that building, from what I see there, is too much money to waste. If they continue knocking down stuff, it's too much money is going to be wasted. I would like to see what they was trying to construct and to see how best we can come up in assisting in the resolution.
Well, I guess, once you do it the CCM way, you just do a bit of they build the shell and then they build the inside.
No, it doesn't work like that. Not in a healthcare system.
Well, that is the way, because we come back to the same question. I mentioned Minister Henderson having the meeting with the board of directors of SCASPA, saying that they needed to have a tender, right? Can anyone recall that project, that there was any bidding process for that project? Can anyone recall?
I can't recall anything.
Right?
But when the question was asked, he answered me with lies, and when I realized that he was lying and I tried to follow up with questions, he stopped responding. One thing about these politicians, when it comes times to answer truthfully, their phone don't work anymore. There's one particular politician, I asked him to assist someone in his district since last year. And I been messaging to get updates, no response. But something was affecting them a couple of weeks ago, and I was going to come and speak about it here, And in less than 3 minutes, I get a response to the question I asked. So they do see the messages. They're playing games. And the problem is, I know Prime Minister Joe mean well, and he's trying his best. something that I realize happening down there. They say a lot of the government buildings have mold in them, right? It's not just the buildings have mold in them, you know. You got people in those offices that I consider them just as bad as the mold, because at the end of the day, if you know you do not know what you're doing, ask for the help. I mean, ain't nothing wrong with, nobody know everything. There's nothing wrong in asking for help. And I always hear my grandparents say 2 heads better than 1, right? So though you might have experience in a particular area, like when I go and I do my trainings at the institutions over the years, I always tell everyone in the room, whether it's doctor, lawyer, management, or whoever, I am not here to tell you or to teach you anything. I'm here to work with you. There is no dumb question. There's no stupid question. Let's have a conversation. And basically, we have a very good day. And every afternoon when I finish my trainings, I go back with my other trainers and I say, listen, this is what we did today. What did we do that can be improved? What we can do differently to improve our training tomorrow? And I ask the individual in the room to do the same thing, to fill out a survey. When we come tomorrow, before we get back into furthering that training we did today, we don't go past it. We come back and we said, okay, we had this conversation yesterday. What are your thoughts? What could have been done different? What did we do? What could be done differently to improve? There is no dumb person out there in the world, you know. Everybody have their own little to contribute. But in the society of St. Kitts Navy, some of these politicians and some of these people in office, they don't think nobody got more sense on them because they wear a tie. They wear a jacket. Some of these small little boys in the street of St. Kitts and Nevis have more knowledge in certain trades than some of these people that you all pay these millions of dollars in this office. So, sister, it's unfortunate, and you're what? You're about 35 minutes overtime. You were supposed to be here until 8. I hope nobody beat up on you if you have another meeting. So I'm going to give you a chance to do your closing. I don't know if you want to do it now or you want to do it after a song. You know, I love my music, but if you got the time.
No, because I'm a little bit late. I'm running a bit late, you know, so. But as usual, thanks, you know, thanks for having me. And the issue remains the same, that Nevis is not, the affairs of Nevis are not being managed properly. And rather than it getting better, rather than seeing improvements, we keep seeing it getting worse and worse. And so we really, you know, notwithstanding when the next election is likely to be called, we must continue.
Soon.
We must continue to ensure that, you know, the government must be held to some level of accountability. They cannot continue to keep starting projects without the necessary, you know, bidding processes and allowing equal opportunity for everybody to participate. And so we're very concerned about the direction which Nevis continues to go, which is downhill. We still have concerns about the electoral office. We do need the issue of those lists to be purged, and you know that we feel is something that should be given some priority treatment. We never know. We've seen elections happen 2 years, 3 years prematurely, and so sometimes people may feel, well, they have sufficient time, but you know, both federal and the local elections, they were called, you know, during the same year, and sometimes people may feel that, you know, it's not going to affect me the same way. Sometimes when people in government, they feel like they have a handle on the system. But I think once we clean up the system and it's fair and people can feel that, you know, each person has a right. I think the people of Nevis right now, they're hurting because they know that they do not have the government that they voted for. And the people are hurting, we are hurting, and the entire, you know, system, I think it's you know, you really, it's like you're driving in a vehicle with flat tires. You know, you just can't get that, forgive me for saying, momentum to move forward. And so we really need to get that vehicle fixed, put on some good tires, and see Nevis moving forward. And then, you know, the water situation, I think we really, you know, we can't say it enough. That is a priority situation. Water is life. We cannot put it on the back burner. We could operate without electricity. We can operate without a lot of things, But the farmers need water. We need water. Our tourism industry, everybody, water is important for Nevis. We cannot put it and say we're going to wait until we get geothermal. If we have to pay the price for diesel or whatever to make sure we have a reliable source of water, we must do that. Investors are not going to come when we do not have reliable water, we do not have reliable electricity. These are the things that we must look at and understand why we are where we are now. And so to all of you who are listening online, don't wait until you hear the bell. Start saving now so that when you hear the bell, you're in a position to come and help us to make sure that Nevis has the government that it deserves and that can put us in the right direction. So just want to say thanks to everyone for listening, for being part of the show. And to you, DJ, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity again.
You're welcome, Honorable, and I look forward to having you back next month. We don't want to skip the month, even if it's for half an hour. Your listenership, your online viewers, they appreciate you. When you get an opportunity, you go and check the thread, you would see that the love is there. So you won't be disappointing only me. When I don't see you, you're disappointing your folks. So we look forward to that. And I'm glad you're using that word, keep the momentum. It's been a while. I haven't heard Baby Brantley use it. What happened? He lost the momentum?
Flat tires, 4 flat tires. And the blue machine has 4 flat tires. Not moving at all.
Oh, poor fella. All right, so let's drop this track here. The time is now by the man King Ginger. Have a safe evening and talk to your folks at Nevis. Let them know that we are here and we're in support. And one thing I'm happy for Janice is that I know that there was a great effort made to divide the people of St. Kitts and Nevis by Mark Brantley throughout his campaigns over the years. And slowly, I can see folks are coming back together. And when I hear you say that you met with Christine and them and you're trying to be a part of the whatever is taking place, at least I know something is happening. So it's not going to happen overnight. But I'm happy that the Prime Minister, his vision and his team, they're going to do what they have to do. And just be patient. We're going to make it happen. We're going to get back on track. We're going to get back on track. That I can assure you.
All right. Have a good evening.
Yeah, you too.
Okay, bye-bye.
King Ginger. The time to unite is now, Sister Janice. Honorable Janice Daniel Hodge. Leader of the NRP.
Citizens of St. Kitts Nevis, wake up. Open your eyes, arise from your slumber. Hatred for one another must stop. We're blood family, separated by water. As we grab at each other's throat, foreigners sit back and gloat. Some of them really hope we'll destroy this country. Let's move in one direction. Show the world we have a plan as a people with one destiny. The time to unite is now. It is the only way how we can regain our pride, my brother. Fight the urge to pull apart and say that it's time to start to try and pull ourselves together. Brothers and sisters, neighbors and friends, time for the hostilities to end. Dispel the disgusting trend to offend each other. We can't continue to row. We must make a change somehow. And brothers, the time is now.
Oh yeah. The King Ginger.
Whenever foreign investors come, we open our doors and rush to fill their agenda. We give them some of our choicest land. Whether or not it's cash they come here to launder. Some run from persecution for crimes in their own homeland. Some come down with the notion they go find cheap labor. We can't lay into their hand. Let's defend this little nation from the return of the white massa. The time to stand up is now. It is the only way brother. Tell them leaders play their part. Sit and have a heart to heart. Get smart, don't let outsiders take over. This land is not big enough to share. There is not 1 acre to spare. Foreigners who come here can't lay claim forever. We can't continue to bow. We must make a stand somehow. And brothers, the time is now. Foreigners come and charm us with smiles, but all the while they're harming with children's future. Realize their smiling faces tell lies. Our children's cries must not be the fact of this matter. History teachers, don't you forget, they once came with chains and muskets and exploited our forefathers out of land and labor. We are going to relive that pain if we let foreigners obtain the land we've maintained for the youth's future. The time to stand up is now. It is the only way how we can remain in stride, my brother. Utilize your head and heart and say it's time to depart from the divisive ways we have. Don't be a pawn in the white man's game. Our forefathers would be ashamed to realize so little has changed. So many years later, we can't continue to bow. We must make a change somehow. And brothers, the time is now.
Psalms of the King Ginger, the time to unite is now. Yes, it was nice having a quick chat there with Sister, the Honorable Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge, talking the things about what's transpiring there in the island of Nevis and the lack of transparency by our premier there, Baby Brantley. We need to get things in order there, sir. Well, the funeral service of the late Johnny Rocco Francis of St. Paul's, son of Ingo Francis and Sister Miss Jan, brother to Nellie, Fred and Richard and those guys in St. Paul's. You know, they also say Lizzie Showy grandson. So if you know Lizzie Showy, that's Lizzie Showy grandson, one of her favorite grandson. His funeral is going to be there on the 26th of this month, 26th of August, next Saturday. It will be at 10 a.m. The church is the Spirit Life Church. Spirit Life Church. It's 4889 Hill Road, Powder Springs, Georgia. Area code is 30127. The viewing will be held from 10 a.m., 10 to 12, and the service is at 12, followed by the burial and repast. So if you if you're in the Georgia area or you plan to be in the Georgia area, don't forget to go out and support the folks there, the St. Paul School. I want to take the opportunity here to also, again, give condolences to the family of my good friend there, Brother Woody Hamilton, who took his flight this morning. I would hope that all goes well with his family. I know they're going to miss him dearly. And hopefully when that funeral is scheduled, everyone show their respect to Brother Morton and his family. I want to say good evening to Sister Ann Farrell Smith. How are you doing? Hope all is well. Sister Cora Bennett, good evening. How are you doing? Thanks for your usual support of this program. Sister Tracy Powell, Tracy Jeffers, Ione Mitchum, Sister Rosita Pontin. I have not heard from you in a bit. I know you had a death in your family as well, your nephew. I do not know if you guys finish getting your act together. And there was some kind of GoFundMe online to assist with getting his body from Florida across to St. Kitts. If that was not complete as yet, I would hope that you can drop the link in the chat. Anyone can help out. I want to say good evening to my cousin, the man Sugars, Craig Challenger, how you doing? The man Twinkie, Albert, how you doing? Thanks for the man support. Yeah, I finally was able to get some man support from the Federation, thanks to my boy Twinkie, combination of Shabby and the man Sassio, making sure that I got my man support last week. So thank you very much. It's good. It's been over some 30, maybe 40 years I have not eaten man support. So it was good to get my man support. I want to touch the man there, the man King Sobi. How you doing, Sister Yvette? Norma, it was nice seeing you a couple of nights ago there. My song about hope all is well with you. My partner there, Brother Ivan Mulvane, hope all is well with you. The man Brown, the mechanic, hope all is well with you. I'm gonna drop this track here, in spite of all. This track by Short Shirt, I mean, every time I listen to this track, I realize that we have a serious issue in our beloved Federation. And again, I want to bring God blessings on our Prime Minister, the Honorable Terence Drew, and his cabinet, his ministers of cabinet, that is doing their best to try and get our country back on track. So in spite of all what they're saying and all that they want to do, we're gonna be all right.
At long last, out of chaos and strife, we found a hope we've never known. A glimpse, just a glimmer, just a gleam, but a flicker of light like I have never seen. The voices of my people tells me that they're reaching maturity. Their spirit shows that determination for a new society. Though plagued by injustice, misfortune and strain, and constant oppression, I force our change. Though we fail to get along, there's one thing we have in common. The oppression we bear will forge us as one. Yet in spite of all our hardship and misery, and poor economic condition, we must struggle on. The state of affair at the moment indicate that a stand will have to be taken soon by the people ourselves, our future sake. Can't allow all our time, efforts and talents to waste. If we open up our eyes, we could soar the skies and make this island a paradise. We can unite, speaking with divided voices. Rise, 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 rise. People, open up your eyes. Produce, that's the answer, produce. Develop our own, use our own, and own our own. Despite our political views, we must all understand that we are part of this island. And the same stick lick in the wild goat is the same stick lick in the tame. Everybody drifting in the same boat, we all sinking just the same. Some of them are claiming that they have this country at heart, but their actions are showing they're splitting the people apart. And they pulling and tugging, we so colorblind we can't see. There's no wonder we are used and abused constantly. Yet in spite of all our hardship and misery and poor economic condition, we must struggle on. The state of affair at the moment indicate that a stand will have to be taken soon by the people ourselves for our future sake. Can't allow all our time, efforts and talents to waste. If we open up our eyes, we could soar the skies and make this island a paradise. We can unite, speaking with divided voices. Rise, 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 rise. People, open up your eyes. Perhaps, just perhaps, I thought the pressure we feel that is revealed the world around would serve us as a lesson that ought to make us aware the needs to create lifestyle more sound. The principles of capitalism has left us on empty shelf. The decadence of society results as well. Promote cooperation, knowledge and skill, and industrial programs that would be producing a strong and hard-working man will be glad to own a piece of this land and be rid of this cancer foreign domination. Yet in spite of all our hardship and misery and poor economics condition, we must struggle on. The state of affairs at the moment indicates that a stand will have to be taken soon by we the people ourselves, our future sake. Can't allow all our time, efforts and talents to waste. If we open up our eyes, we could soar the skies and make this island a paradise. We can unite, speaking with divided voices. Rise, 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 rise. People, open up your eyes.
Serious track there by the man short shirt, Brother Emmanuel there. People of Nevis, you got to open up your eyes. Baby Brantley need to go, have to go immediately. Send him on vacation, a very long one too. Want to touch my uncle here, Brother Joseph Emmanuel there at the Garvey's Estate, Millhouse Guest House, Garvey's Estate there. Hope all is well with you. Folks, don't forget if you need to get reservation for your wedding parties, whatever, check out Uncle Joseph there at the Garvey's Estate. Also have guest rooms if you want to just hang out for the evening. Then if you're looking for some place to get clothing, your back to school clothing for your kids or any dress up for the party session, don't forget to check out Sister Laura Williams there in the TDC Mall, right there on 4th Street. Also Smart Fit, cousin there, Gloria Hutchinson there, and Keon Street, just off the 4th Street as well, and her main location there at Central Street in the old Simaco building next to Skellig. Just tell her DJ Morrishaw to send you. You're looking for a good dinner, a good lunch, check my boy over there at the Jam Rack, Brother Michael Clark. Tell him DJ Morrishaw to send you. He'll make sure he take care of you over there. Also, Brother Marshall's there in the Frigate Bay area as well. Just as you turn the second roundabout of the hill, check out Brother Marshall. Tell him DJ Morrishaw to send you. The guys there at Spratner, check them out. My brother Geezer there in the Bay front, right at the entrance to the bus terminal. You get your weekend barbecue pork, barbecue chicken, barbecue everything there. Pigtail, name it. Cool drinks. My boy Luther Kelly will be there doing his honorarium thing along with Julian Pemberton and them. Brother Monarch and those guys, they're always there supporting Brother Geezer. So just check them out. My boy Body Slam there in Newton Ground, his usual weekend boat water, cook up, bullfoot and thing. Just the same, you check the backway bar there in Parsons, the man Ras, a lovely cook up, boat water and everything, well stocked bar, lovely hangout spot, check out Brother Ras there. And you also go up to Tabernacle, Lovers Lane, Sister Ailu. She definitely will make you rock up that side. I want to touch my boy Pillar there and the man set up doing their thing there as well. Pillar have a lovely farm, supporting the nation, feeding many. At least I know he feed me when I'm home. Also my boy Ricky Basso as well. Lovely farm, have his markets, sell on Saturdays there down at the market there in his truck. Lovely food, fresh food, support them. Also support my boy there, the Carousel, support businesses that support you. The Carrier Express, the man Captain Mills and Captain Hull. Check them out, tell them DJ Morrishaw sent you. The apple cider, check them out, you know. Brother Frankie and Sister Desiree, tell them DJ Morrishaw sent you. Support businesses that support you. I want to say good evening to my sister there, Sister Brown. How you doing, Pastor Brown? Hope all is well. The man Ron Daniel, Felix, Daniel, how you doing? Sister Hazel Claxton, Sister Sheila Barrett. How about Joseph Glassford there, Buchanan? All is well. Also want to big up Sister Nesta there in the Brooklyn area. I hope all is well with you. My girl there said that she always listens to me on the weekend. I mean, on Wednesdays, but she don't say anything. So I hope she's all right as well. My Moonshot girl, they hope all is well with you. Sister Gwyneth Morrishaw, everything is good with you on that end. Hope all is well. We're going to drop our closing song in a bit, you know. And, you know, once we do that, we're on our way out of here for yet another evening. My boy Ivor Get Me went over a whole hour. So, Ivor, good evening. Hope all is well with you and the wife on that end. And my brother there called Morris in St. Thomas, USV. I want to say good evening to you, my brother. How is sister Valicia Morris? My brother there, brother Avon Brown. Sour, who is Patsy Brown, Ma and Ralph. Hope you guys are doing well. Sister Evelyn Blyden, Cannoneer, how are you doing? My favorite cousin there, Sister Natalie Carty in St. Thomas, Sister Caroline Canna, my cousin there, brother Kent Bernier. Hope all is well with you, and Sister Pam and the rest of the family. My cousin there, Dennis Morris, the man George, how are you doing? We're gonna drop this final track before we get out of here. And I want to big up my boy Austin Williams, dancing commissioner. How are you doing? The man Officer Hendricks, Officer Dams, the man Daniel, brother Jacob. Hope all is well. Oh yeah.
Would you stand up and see your country dying and never lend a helping hand? Would you see your children's future dwindling, creating much disillusion? Or would we watch on idly, disregarding our self-sufficiency? Building a brand new nation, we'll move on together hand in hand. Rise, citizens, arise. The country is yours, all yours, still yours. Building a wall so massive or a bridge, don't care how small, as one tends to divide our people, the other unite us all. Unambitious men just cannot be a part of this community. Selfishness, a total lack of interest. No, I said no, not at all. Citizens, let's unite and stand up for rights, all our lives and our lives. Let us reintegrate and correct our mistakes. Reunification, building a brand new nation. We move on together hand in hand. Rise, citizens, arise. for mistakes. Reunification, building a brand new nation. We'll move on together hand in hand. So rise, citizens, arise. The country is yours, all yours, still yours.
Yes, the song of the late great King Arrow. What a powerful track there. I want to touch my boy, brother Milo, one more time. Great job this morning with your posting, my brother. Keep up the good work. I hope baby Brantley gets smart enough to either change his attitude or stay away from your post, because that was definitely right up his cry this morning, and he jumped right into it, say amen. So I guess he was in church this morning. I want to big up Sister Damien Jeffrey there. How are you doing? Hope all is well with you. Brother Thaddeus Deposwa, how are you doing, my brother? All is well. Celine Tobias. Hope all is well with your guy. Lioness Charles, haven't seen you in a bit. I know you're hanging around doing your stuff. Damien Jeffrey and everybody doing their stuff. They want to touch my boy, Lord Ken. Sister Debbie, how are you doing? The man Ike, my engineer. Without Ike, this program will not be online. Very good job. Ike, continue, keep me rolling week after week. Good evening, Sister Ann Farrell Smith. All Massive and crew. It's that time of the evening where we're going to have to bid you farewell and look forward to seeing you next Wednesday, same place, same time. 6 p.m. right back here with my usual updates and what's taking place in our beloved Federation of St. Kitts Nevis. Until such time, have a blessed evening all.